Hello and welcome to Nightmare Lullabies. As you settle in for the night, prepare to be immersed in a world of eerie whispers and unsettling tales, designed to both chill and soothe. Now close your eyes, relax, and let the darkness carry you away. And if these nightly tales captivate you, feel free to join our community for more whispered secrets. In the quiet sprawl of Stanton, California, a small industrial town south of Los Angeles, the year 1980 unfolded with the unremarkable rhythm of suburban life, where Dorothy Jane Scott, a 32-year-old single mother, lived in a modest home with her 4-year-old son Sean, her days revolving around her secretarial job at Swinger's Psych Shop and her nights filled with the gentle routines of motherhood. Dorothy, with her soft brown hair and warm hazel eyes, carried a presence that drew people in, a blend of kindness and quiet strength that made her a favorite among coworkers and friends. Yet beneath her steady exterior, a growing unease had begun to coil, sparked by a series of anonymous phone calls that had crept into her life over the past year, their frequency escalating as spring turned to summer. The calls started innocently enough in late 1979, a man's voice on the line whispering compliments. "I love your voice, Dorothy," or "You looked beautiful today in that blue dress." Details that sent a shiver down her spine because they were true, pinpointing moments from her day she hadn't shared, suggesting someone was watching her every move. By early 1980, the tone shifted, the voice growing darker, more possessive, as he began to weave threats into his words. "You're mine and no one else can have you," he'd say, or "I'll cut you up if you don't leave that kid behind." Each call a jagged edge that sliced into her peace, leaving her staring at the phone long after it went silent, her hands trembling as she clutched it. Dorothy confided in her mother Vera and father Jacob, who lived nearby in Anaheim, her voice tight with fear as she told them over dinner one February night. "He knows where I work, where I shop. He even mentioned Sean's preschool last week, and I don't know how he sees it all," her eyes darting to the window as if expecting his shadow to appear. Vera, a sturdy woman with graying hair and a no-nonsense air, urged her to go to the police, her tone firm as she said, "This isn't some prank, he's following you, and you need to report it before he does something worse," while Jacob, a retired mechanic with a gentle demeanor, nodded silently, his brow furrowed with worry for his only daughter. The Stanton Police Department took her statement on March 15, 1980, Officer Mark Daniels jotting notes as Dorothy sat in the cramped station, her fingers twisting a tissue as she recounted. "He calls at night mostly, sometimes during the day at work. He knows my schedule, and last night he said he'd kill me if I told anyone, but I can't keep quiet anymore." Daniels, a young cop with an earnest face, assured her they'd trace the calls if they could, his voice calm as he explained, "We'll need more to go on. Keep a log of every call, the time, what he says, and if you see anyone lurking, let us know right away." Though his words offered little comfort against the faceless threat that seemed to tighten its grip. Dorothy began carrying a notebook, her neat handwriting cataloging each intrusion. The call on April 2nd at 9:17 p.m. "I saw you with Sean at the park today. I could have taken him, you know." April 10th at 7:45 p.m. "You're so pretty when you're scared, Dorothy." The pages filling with a chilling portrait of obsession that followed her like a shadow she couldn't shake. Her co-workers at Swinger's Psych Shop, a quirky store selling incense and custom jewelry next to a head shop called Custom John's, noticed the change in her, Pam Head, a tall, freckled woman with a sharp wit, pulling her aside one April afternoon to ask, "You've been jumpy all week, what's going on?" Her concern deepening as Dorothy whispered about the voice that wouldn't leave her alone. Pam insisted she stay vigilant, her voice low as she said, "Don't walk to your car alone anymore. I'll go with you, and if he's out there, we'll spot him together." A pact they kept as the calls grew bolder, the stalker's words turning from flattery to venom, promising violence if she didn't bend to his unseen will. Dorothy's son Sean, a bright-eyed boy with his mother's smile, remained her anchor, his laughter filling their small home on East Lanita Lane as she read him bedtime stories. Though her eyes often drifted to the locked windows, her mind racing with the fear that the man on the phone might be outside, watching them through the glass. On May 20th, 1980, the calls took a sinister turn, the voice hissing through the receiver at 10:03 p.m. "I'm tired of waiting, Dorothy. I'll carve you up and scatter the pieces where no one will find you." his threat so vivid she dropped the phone, her scream waking Sean as she ran to check the locks, her heart pounding with the certainty that he was close. She called her parents that night, her voice shaking as she told Vera, "He's going to do it, Mom. I can feel it, and I don't know how to stop him," prompting Jacob to drive over at dawn, his old pickup rattling into the driveway as he insisted, "You and Sean stay with us for a while. This guy's not playing around, and I won't lose you to him." Dorothy agreed, packing a bag for herself and Sean, her hands fumbling with zippers as she glanced at the street, half expecting to see a figure in the shadows, the weight of the stalker's gaze pressing down on her even as she fled to the safety of her parents' Anaheim home, a temporary shield against the terror that hunted her. The police increased patrols around her house, Officer Daniels checking in on May 25th, his notepad filling with her updates. "He called again last night, said he'd get me no matter where I hide." Yet the lack of a trace left them grasping, the phone company unable to pinpoint the source, each dead end tightening the noose around Dorothy's life. Her friend Conrad Bostrom, a quiet man who worked the counter at Custom John's, offered to drive her to work, his voice gentle as he said, "I don't like you being alone out there. Let me help at least until they catch this creep," his presence a small comfort as the calls followed her even to her parents' line. On May 27, 1980, Dorothy enrolled in a karate class at a local gym, her determination flaring as she told Pam, "I won't let him make me a victim. If he comes for me, I'll fight back," her fists clenching with a resolve born from fear, though the instructor's moves couldn't quiet the dread that gnawed at her every night. The stalker's voice haunted her dreams, his threats replaying in her mind. "You can't run, Dorothy. I'll always find you." A relentless echo that shadowed her every step, her life narrowing to a tightrope walk between normalcy and the looming certainty that he was waiting, watching, planning his move. By May 28, 1980, the day before she vanished, Dorothy sat with Sean on her parents' couch, his small hand in hers as she whispered, "We're safe here, sweetie. I won't let anything happen to you." Her words a fragile shield against the storm she knew was coming, the storm that would break in hours and sweep her away forever. As the sun dipped below the horizon on May 28, 1980, casting long shadows over the quiet streets of Anaheim, California, Dorothy Jane Scott sat in her parents' living room, her 4-year-old son Sean nestled against her side, his breathing steady as he drifted into sleep, a fragile moment of peace that belied the storm of fear that had chased her from her Stanton home to this temporary refuge. Vera Scott bustled in the kitchen, the clatter of dishes a comforting rhythm as she prepared a late dinner, her voice carrying through the doorway as she called out, "You need to eat something, Dad. You've barely touched food all day, and you can't keep going like this with that man out there." Her concern a mother's instinct sharpened by the calls that had invaded their lives. Jacob Scott sat across from Dorothy, his weathered hands flipping through a newspaper he wasn't reading, his eyes flicking to her as he said, "I checked the locks twice tonight, and I'll sit up if I have to. No one's getting in here, not while I'm around." His quiet resolve a shield he'd forged from years of protecting his family, now tested by an enemy he couldn't see. Dorothy forced a smile, her fingers brushing Sean's hair as she replied, "I know, Dad. I feel safer here, and Sean does too. But he called again this morning, said he'd find me no matter where I went, and I can't shake the feeling he's outside right now waiting," her voice trembling with the weight of a terror that had grown too real. The phone rang at 7:32 p.m., its shrill tone cutting through the room like a blade, Dorothy's body tensing as Vera stepped out of the kitchen, her apron dusted with flour as she muttered, "If that's him again, I'm telling him where he can shove it," her protective fury rising though Dorothy waved her off, reaching for the receiver with a hand that shook despite her resolve. She lifted it, her breath shallow as the familiar voice slithered through. "Did you think moving would stop me, Dorothy? I saw you leave Stanton, saw you with your kid today, and I'm closer than you think." His words a venomous caress that froze her eyes darting to the curtains as if he'd materialized from the darkness beyond. Dorothy slammed the phone down, her chest heaving as she told her parents, "It was him. He knows I'm here, knows I brought Sean, and he said he's close. I don't know how he's doing this, but he's everywhere like he's inside my head." Her panic spilling out in a rush that silenced the room. Jacob stood, his newspaper crumpling to the floor as he grabbed his flashlight and headed for the door, his voice firm as he said, "I'm checking the yard. If he's out there, I'll see him, and God help him if I do." Though Vera pulled him back, her hands gripping his arm as she pleaded, "Don't go alone, Jake. He's dangerous, and we need you here, not chasing shadows." Dorothy nodded, her voice steadying as she said, "Mom's right. Stay inside, Dad. I'll call the police again, tell them he's still at it, and maybe they'll patrol here too." Her decision a small act of defiance against the stalker who'd turned her life into a hunted maze, though she knew their help had limits. Officer Mark Daniels arrived at 8:15 p.m., his patrol car idling in the driveway as he stepped inside, his notepad open as Dorothy recounted the latest call. "He said he's closer than I think, knows I'm at Mom and Dad's, and I'm scared he'll try something tonight." Her words spilling out while Sean stirred, sensing her distress. Daniels scribbled, his brow creasing as he replied, "We've got a car circling Stanton, and I'll add this street to the route. Keep logging it, Dorothy, and if he shows up, scream, run, anything to get our attention." His advice practical but hollow against the faceless threat that seemed to defy every trap they set. After he left, Dorothy settled Sean back to sleep, her hands smoothing his blanket as she whispered, "You're my world, little man. No one's taking you from me, I promise." Her love a fierce anchor that held her together, though the night stretched ahead like a gauntlet she wasn't sure she could run. At 9 p.m., she joined a staff meeting at Swinger's Psych Shop, her co-worker Conrad Bostrom driving her to the strip mall where the store sat beside Custom John's, her mind half on the call as she stepped inside, the incense-heavy air a stark contrast to the dread that clung to her like a second skin. Pam had greeted her, her freckled face lighting up until she saw Dorothy's tension, her voice dropping as she asked, "Another call, huh? You look like you haven't slept in days. What did he say this time?" Her concern deepening as Dorothy nodded, whispering, "He's closer, Pam. He knows I'm at my parents', and I'm terrified he'll follow me here." The meeting dragged, Dorothy's focus split between work talk and the windows, her eyes scanning the parking lot where shadows shifted under sodium lights, her heart lurching when a figure lingered near her car. A man too distant to identify, before vanishing as Conrad glanced out, his hand on her shoulder as he said, "I'll walk you back, don't worry." At 11 p.m., Conrad fell ill, a spider bite swelling his arm, prompting Dorothy and Pam to drive him to UCI Medical Center, Dorothy's white Toyota station wagon humming through the night as she told Pam, "I'll drop him off and be right back. I just want this night over," her voice tight with the fatigue that masked her growing fear. They reached the ER, Dorothy rushing Conrad inside while Pam waited, her quick steps echoing in the sterile halls as she arranged his care, her mind racing with the stalker's last words, "I'm closer than you think." A warning that shadowed her as she returned to the lot at 11:25 p.m., waving to Pam with a forced smile. Pam watched her cross to the car, the darkness swallowing her figure as headlights flared. Dorothy's Toyota lurching forward, speeding out of sight before Pam could react, her shout lost in the night as she ran back inside, her voice frantic as she told a nurse, "She's gone, someone took her. I saw her car peel out, and she wouldn't drive like that." Police were called at 11:32 p.m., Officer Daniels arriving to find Pam pacing, her words tumbling out. She went to her car, then it took off, fast, like someone was waiting. "I think it's him, the guy on the phone." Her fear igniting a search that began too late, the lot empty except for the echo of Dorothy's last moments. By midnight, Dorothy's car was missing, her parents alerted as Vera clutched the phone, her voice breaking as she told Jacob, "She's gone, he got her, just like he said he would, and we didn't stop it." Her anguish a mother's cry against a nightmare that had finally struck. The Toyota was found hours later, at 4:30 a.m. on May 29th, burning in an alley off Santa Ana's East 17th Street. Flames licking the sky as firefighters doused it, the interior gutted, no trace of Dorothy inside, only ash and the chilling certainty that her stalker had made good on his threats. Chuck and Judy's house descended into chaos, Sean waking to Vera's sobs, his small voice asking, "Where's Mommy?" as Jacob held him, his own tears falling as he whispered, "She'll be back, buddy. We'll find her." A promise he couldn't keep as the night swallowed Dorothy whole. Police scoured the scene, Daniels staring at the charred wreck, his voice low as he told his partner, "He planned this. Watched her, waited, took her from the hospital. And now she's gone, and we've got nothing but a burned-out car to show for it." His frustration a mirror to the terror that had claimed her. Dorothy Jane Scott vanished into the California night, her stalker's voice the last sound she'd heard, his vengeful love a chain that dragged her from her life, leaving her family, her son, and a town to grapple with the mystery that would stretch across decades, unresolved and haunting. The dawn of May 29, 1980, broke over Anaheim, California, with a pale, unforgiving light, illuminating the Scott family home where Vera and Jacob Scott sat in their living room, their eyes hollow from a sleepless night spent grappling with the incomprehensible reality that their daughter Dorothy Jane Scott had vanished hours earlier. Her white Toyota station wagon found burning in a Santa Ana alley, a grim beacon of the danger that had stalked her for months. Vera clutched a cup of coffee she hadn't touched, her hands trembling as she stared at the phone that had carried the stalker's threats, her voice cracking with a mother's desperation as she told Jacob, "She's out there somewhere. He took her, and we're just sitting here while he does God knows what to her. I can't stand it, Jake. We have to do something." Jacob paced the worn carpet, his slippers scuffing against the floor as he replied, "The police are on it, Vera. They've got the car, they're searching. But I'm not waiting around. I'll drive every street myself if I have to, because Dot's my girl, and I won't let him win." His resolve hardened by a father's instinct to protect, now twisted into a frantic need to find. 4-year-old Sean wandered in, his pajamas rumpled from restless sleep, his small voice breaking the tension as he asked, "Where's Mommy? She said she'd read to me tonight." His innocent question a dagger that pierced Vera's heart, prompting her to scoop him up, her tears falling into his hair as she whispered, "She's coming back, sweetie. We're going to find her, I promise." Stanton Police Officer Mark Daniels arrived at 7 a.m., his uniform crisp despite the exhaustion etching his face, his notepad already thick with details as he sat with the Scotts, his voice steady as he explained, "We found her car at 4:30 this morning, torched in an alley off East 17th Street. No sign of Dorothy, but the fire was deliberate, and we're treating this as an abduction tied to those calls she reported." Vera leaned forward, her hands gripping the table as she demanded, "You've got her logs, all those threats. He said he'd kill her, cut her up. And now she's gone, so why aren't you out there catching him? He's been watching her for months, and you've done nothing." Her anger a raw outpouring of fear and frustration that had built with every unanswered plea. Daniels nodded, his tone measured as he replied, "We're canvassing the hospital lot where she was taken, talking to Pam Head and Conrad Bostrom, checking every camera and witness. We've got a bolo out for Dorothy, and we're pulling phone records again, but we need time, Mrs. Scott, time we're fighting to make up for now." Jacob stopped pacing, his voice low as he added, "She told you he knew her every move, Sean's preschool, her work, even here. And now he's got her, so don't tell us about time. Tell us you'll find her before he makes good on those threats." His eyes locking with Daniels, a silent plea beneath the gruff exterior. Pam had arrived at 8:30 a.m., her freckled face pale as she stepped into the house, her voice trembling as she recounted to the Scotts. "I saw her walk to the car," she waved, smiled, "and then it sped off like someone was driving it, not her. I ran after, but it was gone, and I should have gone with her, should have known he was there," her guilt spilling out in a rush that mirrored their own. Conrad Bostrom followed, his arm bandaged from the spider bite that had sent them to UCI Medical Center, his quiet demeanor shaken as he said, "She was helping me. She stayed calm, got me inside, and I didn't see anything until it was too late. She didn't deserve this, not after everything she'd been through with that guy." His regret a weight that pressed on the room. Police set up a command post at the station by 9 a.m., Daniels coordinating with Santa Ana PD, their radios crackling with updates as officers swept the alley where the car burned, their gloved hands sifting through ash for clues, melted plastic, charred metal, while others interviewed hospital staff, hoping someone had seen the abductor's face in the night's chaos. Detective Paul Carter, a seasoned investigator with a gravelly voice and sharp eyes, took the lead, his desk buried under maps and Dorothy's call logs as he told Daniels, "This isn't random. The fire's a cover, and those calls mean he's been planning this for months. He's obsessed, possessive, and now he's escalated, so we start with her life, every corner of it." Carter interviewed Pam and Conrad at 10:30 a.m., his questions probing as he asked, "Did she mention anyone suspicious, co-workers, customers, exes? This guy knew her routines, her kid, her fears. So he's close, maybe someone she brushed off, someone who couldn't let go." His mind already tracing the stalker's shadow through her world. Pam shook her head, her hands twisting as she replied, "She never said a name, just the voice, always the voice. Said he'd seen her at work at the park with Sean, but there was this one guy, a regular at Custom John's, always staring, asking about her, and she'd laugh it off, but maybe it was him." Her memory a flicker of a lead that Carter seized. Conrad added, his voice soft as he said, "She didn't date much. Too busy with Sean, too scared after the call started. But there were guys at the shop, customers who'd linger, and she'd tell me she felt watched, even before the phone rang." His words painting a picture of a woman encircled by unseen eyes. By noon, the Toyota's remains yielded little. Fire had erased fingerprints, DNA, any trace of Dorothy or her abductor. Yet Carter noted the precision, telling Daniels he torched it fast, within hours, meaning he had a plan, a place to take her. This isn't impulse, it's revenge, love twisted into something sick, and he's not done yet. The phone rang at the Scotts' house at 1:15 p.m., Vera snatching it up with a mix of dread and hope, her breath catching as the stalker's voice hissed through. "Dorothy's with me now, safe where you'll never find her. And if you keep looking, I'll send you pieces of her to prove it." His taunt a fresh wound that dropped her to her knees, the receiver clattering as she screamed for Jacob. Jacob grabbed the phone, his roar echoing as he shouted, "You bastard, where is she? Give her back, or I'll hunt you down myself." Though the line went dead, the stalker's laugh lingering in the silence, a cruel promise that fueled the rage and terror now consuming their home. Daniels rushed over, arriving at 1:45 p.m. with a technician to tap the line, his voice urgent as he said, "He's calling again. That's bold, stupid even. And if he keeps it up, we'll trace him, catch him slipping. So don't touch that phone, let us handle it next time." His plan a lifeline in the chaos of Dorothy's absence. Vera sat with Sean, her arms tight around him as she whispered, "Mommy's strong, baby. She's fighting to come back to us. And we'll help her, we won't stop." Her words a vow to a child too young to grasp the horror, though his tears mirrored hers, a shared loss binding them. Jacob joined the search, driving his pickup through Stanton streets by 3 p.m., his eyes scanning alleys and lots for any sign. Dorothy's scarf, her car keys, her shadow, his voice hoarse as he muttered, "I'll find you, I won't let him take you from us." His determination a father's last stand against a nightmare unfolding in broad daylight. Police fanned out across Orange County, their sirens piercing the afternoon as they checked hospitals, motels, abandoned buildings, their radios alive with calls. Nothing on 5th Street, no witnesses at the gas station. Each report a brick in a wall of frustration, Dorothy's trail vanishing with the smoke that had claimed her car. Carter sat with the call logs that evening, his fingers tracing the stalker's threats. "I'll cut you up. You're mine," his voice low as he told Daniels. "He's not just a watcher. He's a hunter, and this is personal, a love he couldn't have turned to hate, and he'll call again because he can't resist her even now." The search ignited, a desperate race against a faceless predator, Dorothy's family and friends clinging to hope as the stalker's voice echoed through their lives. His vengeful love a chain that tightened with every hour she remained lost. A cold case beginning in the heat of that May day. As the afternoon sun sank into a hazy orange glow over Orange County, California, on May 29, 1980, the Scott family home in Anaheim became a nerve center of desperation. The air thick with the scent of coffee and the sound of Vera Scott's stifled sobs as she sat with Sean on her lap, her arms a fragile cocoon around the 4-year-old who kept asking for his mother, Dorothy Jane Scott, now missing for nearly 20 hours since her abduction from UCI Medical Center's parking lot. Jacob Scott returned from his fruitless drive through Stanton streets at 5 p.m., his pickup truck rattling into the driveway, his face etched with exhaustion and fury as he stormed inside, telling Vera, "I checked every alley, every corner from here to Santa Ana. Nothing, not a damn thing. But I'm not stopping, not while that bastard has her." His hands clenched into fists that ached to strike at the invisible enemy who'd stolen his daughter. Vera looked up, her eyes red and swollen as she replied, "He called again, Jake, right after you left, said she's with him, safe where we'll never find her, and threatened to send pieces if we don't stop looking. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, and he just laughed." Her voice breaking into a wail that shook the walls, a mother's terror unleashed by the stalker's cruel game. Sean stirred, his small hands tugging at her sleeve as he whimpered, "Is Mommy hurt? Why's he got her?" His questions slicing through Vera's resolve, prompting her to pull him closer, her whisper fierce as she said, "Mommy's strong, sweetie, she's fighting, and we're going to bring her home, no matter what he says." Her promise a lifeline she clung to as tightly as she held him. Officer Mark Daniels stayed at the house, his radio crackling with updates from the search teams as he coordinated with Detective Paul Carter, his voice low as he told Jacob, "We've got the tap on your line now. He calls again, we'll trace it. and we're combing the county from the hospital to that alley. If he's moving her, we'll catch him, but we need you to stay here. Keep that phone ready." Jacob nodded, his jaw tight as he said, "I'll sit by it all night if I have to. Just get her back, Daniels. She's all we've got, and this guy's playing with us like it's a sick joke." His trust in the police strained by hours of silence, though he sank into a chair beside the phone, his eyes fixed on its mute presence. At the Stanton police station, Carter hunched over a map of Orange County, his finger tracing the route from UCI Medical Center to the alley where Dorothy's Toyota had burned, his voice gravelly as he briefed his team. 5 miles apart, torched within hours. He had a second vehicle, a plan, and a place to take her. This isn't a spur-of-the-moment snatch, it's calculated, and he's still out there, gloating. The search expanded by 6 p.m., helicopters buzzing over Santa Ana's industrial sprawls and Stanton's quiet neighborhoods, their spotlights cutting through the dusk as ground teams swept vacant lots and drainage ditches, their shouts. "Dorothy, can you hear us?" Echoing unanswered, each empty find tightening the knot of dread in Carter's chest. Pam had joined the effort, driving to the station after leaving the Scotts, her freckled hands gripping a flyer with Dorothy's photo, smiling, hazel eyes bright as she told Carter, "I can't sit still. She's my best friend, and I saw that car speed off. I'll hand these out, knock on doors, anything to help because he's got her, and I failed her last night." Her guilt a fire that fueled her resolve. Conrad Bostron, released from the hospital with his arm still swollen, arrived at 7 p.m., his quiet voice steady as he told Carter, "I owe her. She got me help, and I didn't see him take her. So let me join Pam, look around the shop, the lot, anywhere he might have watched her from." His offer a small redemption for the night that had spiraled out of his control. Carter sent them out with officers, his instructions sharp as he said, "Focus on Swinger's psych shop, Custom John's, talk to regulars, anyone who knew her habits. And if that guy Pam mentioned, the staring customer, shows up, grab him, because he's our best shot at a face to this voice," his hunch growing that the stalker hid in Dorothy's daily orbit. By 8:30 p.m., the phone rang again at the Scott's house, Jacob lunging for it as Daniels signaled the technician to trace, the stalker's voice slithering through. "She's crying for you, Jacob. Wants her little boy, but she's mine now, and you'll never hear her voice again." His taunt a dagger that drove Jacob to roar. "Where is she, you son of a bitch? Tell me, or I'll rip you apart." The line held for 16 seconds, the technician scribbling coordinates as Daniels whispered, "Public booth, Santa Ana, near 5th and Main. Keep him talking," though the stalker laughed, a cold, hollow sound, before hanging up, his words lingering like poison as Jacob slammed the receiver down, his breath ragged with helpless rage. Police raced to the booth, arriving at 8:45 p.m. to find it empty, a greasy receiver dangling in the night air, their flashlights sweeping the lot for footprints, cigarette butts, anything, Carter swearing under his breath as he said, "He's toying with us, knows we're close, wants us to chase him, but this proves he's local mobile, and he's got her nearby." Vera collapsed into a chair, her hands covering her face as she sobbed. "He's hurting her," she's crying, "and we're just listening to him laugh. Why can't we stop him, Jake? Why can't we save her?" Her anguish a tide that swept through the room, drowning the hope they'd clung to since dawn. Jacob knelt beside her, his arms wrapping around her trembling frame as he whispered, "We're not giving up. She's fighting, like you said, and we'll find her, even if I have to tear this county apart myself." His vow a steel thread that held them together, though the weight of the stalker's words pressed down like a stone. Pam and Conrad returned at 10 p.m., their flyers scattered across Stanton, their voices hoarse as Pam told Daniels, "People saw her car at work yesterday. Normal stuff, but one guy, a mechanic near the shop, said he noticed a dark sedan parked there late last week, watching, and mentioned feeling eyes on her." Her lead a thin thread that Carter latched onto. Carter dispatched a team to the mechanic's shop, his orders crisp as he said, "Find that sedan, color, plates, anything, and check every creep who's been around Swingers, because this guy's not a ghost, he's flesh and blood, and he's slipping, calling too much, getting cocky." His determination a spark in the darkening case. The search burned through the night, volunteers joining police as headlights crisscrossed Orange County, their efforts a frantic dance against time. Jacob driving again, Vera cradling Sean, Pam and Conrad knocking on doors, each moment stretched taut with the fear that Dorothy was slipping further from their grasp. At 2 a.m. on May 30th, the phone rang once more, Daniels answering as the stalker hissed, "She's screaming now. pretty little Dorothy begging for you. But she's mine and I'll keep her forever. His voice a chilling promise that cut off abruptly, the trace failing as the booth switched to another corner, Harbor Boulevard, leaving police scrambling in his wake. Carter stood in the station at dawn, his eyes bloodshot as he told his team. He's escalating, taunting us, hurting her. And every call's a breadcrumb. But he's smart, switching spots, covering tracks. We've got to outthink him, find his pattern, because she's alive and he wants us to know it, his resolve a beacon in the storm. The search ignited fully, a blaze of effort fueled by love and vengeance. Vera and Jacob's parental devotion, Pam and Conrad's loyalty, the police's duty. Yet the stalker's shadow loomed larger, his vengeful love a noose tightening around Dorothy, her fate hanging in the balance as the night surrendered to a relentless day. The morning of May 30th, 1980, dawned over Anaheim, California, with a heavy stillness that settled into the Scott family home, where Vera and Jacob Scott faced their second day without Dorothy Jane Scott, their daughter's absence a gaping wound made rawer by the stalker's taunting call at 2 a.m., his words, "She's screaming now, begging for you," echoing in their minds as they sat in the living room, surrounded by coffee cups and crumpled tissues, their hope fraying under the weight of a night that had offered no answers. Vera rocked 4-year-old Sean in her arms, his small body curled against her chest as he slept fitfully, her voice a hoarse whisper as she told Jacob, "He's torturing her. I can hear it in his voice, the way he enjoys it. And we're just waiting for him to call again, like that's all we can do while she suffers." Her tears falling silently, a grandmother's anguish mingling with a mother's dread. Jacob stared at the phone, his hands resting on his knees as he replied, "We're not just waiting. I'm going back out there, Vera. Every street, every lot, until I find something the police missed, because Dot's out there, alive, and I won't sit here while he plays his sick game." His determination a fire that burned through his exhaustion, propelling him to his feet despite the ache in his bones. Officer Mark Daniels returned at 7 a.m., his uniform rumpled from a night at the station, his eyes shadowed as he updated the Scotts. "We traced that 2 a.m. call to a booth on Harbor Boulevard. Empty when we got there, no prints, but he's moving, switching spots, and we're chasing every lead. Pam's mechanic tip, the dark sedan, everything." His voice steady but laced with the frustration of a trail that refused to solidify. Vera set Sean down, her hands trembling as she demanded, "He's calling us, bragging about her screaming. Why can't you catch him? He's right here in our town, and you're telling me you've got nothing but empty phone booths?" Her anger surging, a mother's plea for action against a system that seemed to stumble in the dark. Daniels nodded, his tone softening as he said, "We're trying, Mrs. Scott. Every call gets us closer, narrows his range. He's in Orange County, we know that, and we've got teams at the hospital, the alley, the shop. But he's smart, burns evidence, stays one step ahead, and we need him to slip just once." His words a thin reassurance that did little to ease the terror gripping the room. Jacob grabbed his keys, his voice firm as he said, "I'm not waiting for him to slip. I'll check Harbor myself, see if anyone saw him, because Dot doesn't have time for your teams to figure it out. She's fighting, and I'm fighting too." His departure a blur as he stormed out, leaving Vera to clutch Sean tighter, her eyes on the door he'd vanished through. At the Stanton police station, Detective Paul Carter gathered his team by 8 a.m., his map of Orange County now dotted with pins. UCI Medical Center, the Santa Ana Alley, phone booths on 5th and Main and Harbor Boulevard. His voice rough as he briefed them. He's local, knows these streets, and he's got a hideout. Every call's a taunt, a power play. And we're not finding her until we find where he's keeping her. The mechanic Pam had mentioned, a grizzled man named Eddie Ruiz who worked 2 blocks from Swinger's psych shop, met officers at 9 a.m., his oil-stained hands gesturing as he told them, "Yeah, I saw that sedan, dark blue, maybe black, late 70s model, parked across from the shop 3 for times last week, just sitting there, engine off, guy inside watching, but I didn't get a plate." His memory a tantalizing clue that sent police scouring for matching cars. Pam Head and Conrad Bostron arrived at the station by 10 a.m., their faces drawn from a night of handing out flyers, Pam's voice urgent as she told Carter. "Eddie's right. Dorothy said she felt watched at work, and that sedan fits. She'd park out back, and I'd see it sometimes, just lurking, but I thought it was nothing until now." Her regret sharpening the lead into something tangible. Conrad added, his arms still bandaged as he said, "She'd locked the shop doors early some nights, said she didn't feel safe. And there was this one customer, skinny guy, long hair, always asking when she'd be in. but she brushed him off, didn't want trouble. His recollection a thread Carter seized, ordering a sketch artist to work with them on a composite. By noon, the search stretched across Stanton, Santa Ana, and Anaheim, helicopters thudding overhead as ground teams combed industrial yards and rural fringes, their radios buzzing with reports. No sign on Brookhurst. Check the canal, nothing. Each dead end a blow to Carter's resolve, though he pushed harder, his voice rising as he told Daniels, "He's not far. Those calls mean he's got her close, and we're missing something, a pattern, a place." Jacob drove through Harbor Boulevard's bustle, his eyes scanning every face, every car, his pickup weaving past strip malls and gas stations as he muttered, "You're here, I know you are, and I'll find you even if they can't." His search a solitary mission that mirrored the police's broader net, though his heart raced with a father's intuition that refused to quit. The phone rang again at the Scotts at 1:47 p.m., Vera answering with a gasp as the stalker's voice purred through. "She's quiet now, Vera, tired herself out screaming, but she's still mine, and you'll never touch her again." His words a slow poison that dropped her to the floor, her cry bringing Daniels running as he signaled the trace, the call cutting off after 12 seconds. The technician pinpointed it, another booth, this time on Chapman Avenue in Garden Grove, 5 miles from the last, police racing to the scene, arriving at 2 p.m. to find a crowd of onlookers, a teenage girl saying, "Some guy was here, thin, scruffy, ran off when he saw us watching." Her fleeting glimpse a ghost that slipped through their fingers, leaving Carter cursing the air. Vera sat with Sean, her voice shaking as she told Daniels, "She's quiet. He's done something to her, hasn't he? He's hurting her, and we're just chasing phone calls while she's slipping away." Her despair a tide that flooded the room, her hands clutching Sean as if he were the last piece of Dorothy she could hold. Daniels knelt beside her, his voice firm as he said, "She's alive, Mrs. Scott. He's saying she's quiet, not gone, and every call's a chance. We're closing in, mapping these booths, and we'll get him, I swear it." His promise a lifeline she wanted to believe, though the stalker's laughter lingered like a specter in her mind. Pam and Conrad canvassed Swinger's psych shop by 3 p.m., their flyers plastered on every pole, Pam's voice breaking as she told a co-worker. She was scared here, said she felt him watching, and now he's got her, and I didn't see it coming. I should have walked her out every night, should have known. Her guilt a weight that drove her to knock on more doors. Carter interviewed the shop's regulars that afternoon, his notepad filling with names. A hippie named Greg who'd flirted with Dorothy, a biker called Ray who'd lingered too long, his questions sharp as he asked, "Did she turn you down? Did you follow her?" Though their denials rang hollow, each one a potential mask for the voice that tormented her family. The search stretched into evening, police dogs sniffing the alley where the Toyota burned, their handlers urging them through ash and rubble, their barks fading into silence as no scent emerged, Carter watching with clenched fists as he told Daniels, "Fire erased her, car's useless now. But he's not done talking, and that's our edge, our only damn edge." Jacob returned at 6 p.m., his shirt soaked with sweat as he slumped beside Vera, his voice hoarse as he said, "I drove 20 miles, nothing, no sign, but she's out there, I feel it, and he's laughing at us, thinking he's won," his hands trembling with a rage that had nowhere to land. The phone stayed silent through the night, an eerie pause that stretched Vera's nerves to breaking, her eyes fixed on it as she whispered, "Call again, you coward. Give us something, anything, so we can find her before it's too late." Her plea unanswered as the clock ticked toward May 31st, the trail cooling with every hour Dorothy remained lost. Carter stood alone at the station at midnight, his map a web of dead ends, his voice low as he muttered, "He's got her stashed, close, controlled, and he's waiting us out, loving this chase. But we'll break him, Dorothy, we'll find you." His vow a flicker of light in a case slipping into the cold, the stalker's vengeful love a shadow that refused to fade. As the clock ticked past midnight into May 31st, 1980, the Scott family home in Anaheim, California, lay shrouded in a tense silence. The phone that had carried the stalker's chilling taunts sitting dormant on the table, its stillness a cruel tease for Vera and Jacob Scott, who faced their second night without Dorothy Jane Scott, their daughter's fate dangling in the hands of a predator whose vengeful love had already torn their world apart. Vera sat on the couch, her arms wrapped around Sean as he slept against her, his small chest rising and falling while she stared at the curtains, her voice a whisper as she told Jacob, "He hasn't called since 2 a.m. Maybe he's done with us, or maybe he's done with her. And I don't know which is worse, knowing she's suffering or fearing she's gone." her tears a quiet stream that soaked into Sean's hair. Jacob paced beside the window, his silhouette stark against the dawn light creeping through, his voice rough as he replied, "He's not done. He's waiting, playing with us like a cat with a mouse. And I can't sit here anymore, Vera. I'm going out again, because Dot's alive until I see proof she isn't. And I won't let him bury her without a fight," his resolve a steel thread fraying under relentless strain. Officer Mark Daniels stayed through the night, his radio silent as he watched the Scotts, his voice low as he said, "We've got patrols hitting every booth he's used, 5th and Main, Harbor, Chapman, and we're digging into that sedan lead, but he's gone quiet. And that's bad. He's either hiding her better or he's finished what he started." His words a grim admission that chilled the room. Vera turned to him, her eyes blazing through her grief as she snapped. "Finished? You mean killed her? And you're just waiting for him to tell us, like that's all we've got left? She's my daughter, Daniels, not some case file, and you've got to do more than patrol empty streets." Her anger a mother's roar against the helplessness that threatened to swallow them whole. Daniels nodded, his hands raised as he replied, "We're doing everything. Flyers are out, Pam and Conrad are talking to everyone at the shop, and Carter's chasing down every name. But he's a ghost, Mrs. Scott, and we need him to call again, give us something, because right now we're grasping at smoke." His honesty a bitter pill that Vera couldn't swallow. Jacob grabbed his jacket, his voice firm as he said, "I'm not grasping. I'm looking. Chapman's not far, and if he was there yesterday someone saw him, and I'll find them because Dot's counting on me, not your damn trace machines." His departure a thunderclap as he stormed out, the door slamming behind him in a house already trembling with loss. At the Stanton police station, Detective Paul Carter pored over the composite sketch Conrad and Pam had helped create. A thin man, long dark hair, scruffy beard, his voice hoarse as he told his team at 6 a.m. "This is our guy, or close to it. Matches the vibe Pam got from that shop creep. And we've got to plaster this everywhere, stores, bars, gas stations. Someone knows him, and we're running out of time." The mechanic Eddie Ruiz returned at 7:30 a.m., his memory prodded by officers as he added, "That sedan, think it was a Chevy, maybe a Nova, 77 or 78, dark paint peeling. And the guy inside, he'd sit there for hours, just staring at the shop, never got out, but I'd see smoke like he was chain smoking." His details sharpening a lead that Carter sent teams to chase, their radios crackling with orders to find every matching car in the county. Pam Head and Conrad Bostron hit the streets again by 8 a.m., their flyers now bearing the sketch, Pam's voice breaking as she told a shopkeeper near Swingers. "This could be him. Dorothy said he watched her, and now she's gone, and if you've seen this face, please tell us, because she's my friend, and he's killing her out there." Her plea a desperate hymn that echoed through Stanton's quiet corners. Conrad handed out sketches at Custom John's, his quiet persistence wearing through as a cashier nodded, saying, "Yeah, that looks like a guy who came in, long hair, twitchy, asked about Dorothy a month back, wanted her schedule, but I told him to buzz off." His tip a spark that Carter seized, dispatching officers to scour the shop's records for any trace of the man. By noon, the search had stretched into its third day, helicopters sweeping the dry hills beyond Santa Ana, their rotors a distant hum as ground teams trudged through orchards and backyards, their shouts, "Dorothy, we're here!" fading into the wind, each fruitless hour a weight that pressed on Carter's shoulders, his voice low as he told Daniels, "She's slipping away, he's too good at this, and we're losing her." Jacob drove through Garden Grove, his pickup weaving past the Chapman Avenue booth, his eyes scanning every alley as he muttered, "You were here, you bastard. I'll find your tracks, find where you took her." His search a lone crusade that mirrored the police's faltering net, though his heart pounded with a father's refusal to yield. The phone rang at the Scotts at 2:13 p.m., Vera lunging for it as Daniels signaled the trace, the stalker's voice slithering through. "She's resting now, Vera. Pretty little Dorothy, all mine, and you'll never kiss her goodnight again." His taunt a slow burn that dropped her to her knees, her scream piercing as the line held for 10 seconds before cutting off, the trace pinpointing a booth on Bolsa Avenue, 3 miles from the last. Police raced to Bolsa, arriving at 2:25 p.m. to find a janitor sweeping nearby, his voice casual as he said, "Saw a guy, skinny, long hair. On the phone, took off in a dark car, maybe blue, headed west, but he was fast, gone before I blinked." His citing a fleeting chance that slipped away as officers fanned out, their search swallowed by the afternoon traffic. Vera sat with Sean, her hands shaking as she whispered, "Resting, he's lying, or he's hurt her bad, and we're just listening to him gloat while she fades. I can't take this, Daniels. I can't lose her like this. Her despair a tide that drowned the room, her grip on Sean the only anchor keeping her afloat. Daniels knelt beside her, his voice steady as he said, "He's keeping her alive. He wants us to know, wants the control. And every booth's closer to Stanton, so he's circling back, and we'll catch him, Mrs. Scott. We'll get her before he's done." His promise a fragile hope she clung to, though the stalker's silence stretched her thin. Pam and Conrad returned at 5 p.m., their flyers depleted, Pam's voice raw as she told Carter. "People recognize the sketch, say he's been around, a loner, creepy. But no name, no address, and Dorothy's out there with him, and we're failing her, running in circles." Her frustration a mirror to the police's own stumbles. Carter interviewed more shop regulars that evening, his questions relentless as he pressed a biker named Ray. "You asked about her, hung around. Where were you Wednesday night?" Though Ray shrugged, saying, "Home, drinking. Didn't like her rejecting me, but I didn't snatch her." His alibi shaky but unprovable, leaving Carter with suspects but no solid grip. The search slowed by nightfall, volunteers thinning as exhaustion set in, their lanterns flickering along rural roads while police dogs sniffed empty fields, their handlers shaking their heads as Carter watched, his voice low as he told Daniels, "He's gone to ground. Calls are all we've got, and they're not enough. She's out there, and we're losing the thread." Jacob stumbled home at 9 p.m., his eyes bloodshot as he slumped beside Vera, his voice breaking as he said, "I drove all day, nothing, no sign, but she's alive, Vera, I know it." And he's laughing at us, thinking he's untouchable, his hands trembling with a rage that burned brighter with every dead end. The phone rang again at 11:47 p.m., Daniels answering as the stalker hissed, "She's dreaming now, dreaming of you, but she's mine forever, and you'll bury an empty box." His voice a chilling promise that cut off after 8 seconds, the trace failing as the booth, Brookhurst Street, yielded only shadows, police arriving too late once more. Vera collapsed, her sobs racking her frame as she cried, "Dreaming! He's tormenting her, or she's gone, and he's mocking us. How do we fight this, Jake? How do we save her when he's always ahead?" Her anguish a mother's plea that echoed unanswered, the night closing in around a family losing hope. Carter stood at the station at 2 a.m. on June 1st, his map a tangle of pins, his voice a growl as he muttered, "He's winning, hiding her, taunting us, and every call's a dead end, but she's alive, damn it. And we've got to outlast him, find his hole." His resolve a fading ember in a case turning cold. The trail went cold, the search a fading blaze. Vera and Jacob's love a desperate fuel, Pam and Conrad's loyalty a weakening spark, the police's duty a dimming light. As the stalker's vengeful love tightened its grip, Dorothy's fate slipping into the shadows of a mystery that refused to break, her voice silenced but her absence screaming through the days. As June 1980 unfolded across Orange County, California, the vibrant hues of summer clashed with the bleak shadow that had settled over the Scott family home in Anaheim, where Vera and Jacob Scott navigated their 4th day without Dorothy Jane Scott. Their daughter's disappearance on May 29th now a wound festering with every taunting call from her stalker, his voice a relentless specter that kept her alive in their minds while draining the hope from their hearts. Vera sat at the kitchen table on June 1st, her hands wrapped around a cold mug as Sean played with toy cars at her feet, her voice a hollow echo as she told Jacob, "He called last night, said she's dreaming, said we'll bury an empty box. And I can't tell if he's lying to hurt us or telling the truth to break us, but either way, she's slipping away and we're powerless." Her eyes fixed on the phone, its silence a torment worse than its rings. Jacob leaned against the counter, his face gaunt from days of driving and sleepless nights, his voice rough as he replied, "He's not breaking us. He's keeping her alive in those calls, Vera, because he wants us to suffer, wants us chasing him. And I'll keep looking because Dot's out there, and I'll find her before he decides he's done playing." His resolve a brittle shield against the despair creeping into his bones. Sean looked up, his small voice cutting through the tension as he asked, "Is Mommy dreaming about me? Will she come wake me up soon?" His innocence a blade that twisted in Vera's chest, prompting her to kneel beside him, her hands cupping his face as she whispered, "She's dreaming of you every minute, sweetie. She loves you so much, and we're bringing her back to you." Her promise a fragile thread she wove for his sake as much as her own. Officer Mark Daniels arrived at 8 a.m., his notepad worn from constant use, his voice steady as he updated the Scotts. Last night's call, Brookhurst Street booth. Came up empty again, but we're mapping these spots, tightening the net. He's staying in a 10-mile radius, and we're cross-checking that sedan lead with every shop regular, every creep Pam and Conrad flagged. His report a lifeline they clung to, though its repetition dulled its edge. Vera stood, her hands trembling as she said, 10 miles, that's nothing, Daniels. He's right here, laughing at us, and you've got sketches, cars, witnesses. Why isn't she home yet? Why can't you stop him when he's calling us every day? Her frustration a mother's cry that reverberated through the house, a plea for action in a case mired in shadows. Daniels met her gaze, his tone firm as he replied, he's a phantom, switches booths, burns evidence, knows our moves, but every call's a risk, and we're closing in, Mrs. Scott. We've got the sketch out, volunteers searching, and Carter's tearing apart her life for a name, a face, so hold on, because we're not giving up. His words a vow that carried the weight of his own sleepless nights. Jacob grabbed his keys, his voice low as he said, I'm not holding on. I'm going to Brookhurst, checking every corner, because Dot's not a case to me, she's my daughter, and I'll find her when your net fails. His departure a storm that swept him out the door, leaving Vera to clutch Sean tighter, her eyes on the empty space he'd left behind. At the Stanton police station, Detective Paul Carter stood before a cluttered desk on June 1st, his map now a constellation of red pins. Phone booths, the hospital, the alley, his voice gravelly as he briefed his team. He's called 5 times since she vanished, 5th and Main, Harbor, Chapman, Bolsa, Brookhurst, and he's circling, staying close, which means she's here, alive or not, and we've got to crack his pattern before he stops talking. The sketch of the thin, long-haired man stared back from flyers plastered across the room, Carter's finger tapping it as he told Daniels, this is our guy, Pam's creep, Conrad's customer, Eddie's sedan driver. And he's someone Dorothy knew, rejected maybe, someone whose love turned sour, vengeful, and now he's punishing her, us, everyone. His theory a thread he pulled tighter with every call. Pam had arrived at 9:30 a.m., her arms full of fresh flyers, her voice breaking as she told Carter, I've been to every store from Stanton to Santa Ana. People say they've seen him, this sketch, hanging around, but no one knows him, and Dorothy's out there suffering because I didn't see him coming that night. Her guilt a fuel that drove her back into the streets, her steps heavy with purpose. Conrad Bostron followed, his quiet presence steady as he said, I asked at Custom John's again. Cashier remembered that guy, said he'd buy stuff, ask about Dorothy, then leave fast like he didn't want to be noticed, and she'd tense up when he was around, I saw it. His memory a piece that fit Carter's puzzle, narrowing the hunt to a face in the crowd. By noon, the search trudged into its 5th day, volunteers thinning as hope waned, their lanterns replaced by daylight as they combed orchards and ravines, their calls. Dorothy, we're here. Fading into the heat, Carter watching from the station window, his voice low as he told Daniels, we're losing momentum, he's outlasting us, and without a body or a break, she's slipping into the cracks. Jacob drove through Brookhurst's bustle, his pickup weaving past motels and diners, his eyes scanning for the dark sedan Eddie described, his voice a mutter as he said, You're here, Dot. I'll find you, even if I have to knock on every door, because he's not taking you from me, not like this. His search a lone beacon in a fading effort. The phone rang at the Scotts at 3:22 p.m., Vera answering as Daniels signaled the trace, the stalker's voice oozing through. She's sleeping now, Vera. Deep, quiet sleep. And you'll never wake her, never hold her again. His words a slow venom that dropped her to the floor, her cry echoing as the line held for 14 seconds, the trace pinning a booth on Euclid Street, 2 miles from Brookhurst. Police raced to Euclid, arriving at 3:35 p.m. to find a gas station attendant nearby, his voice shaky as he said, Guy was here, long hair, skinny, on the phone, then peeled out in a dark car, west toward the freeway 5 minutes ago. His sighting a fleeting chance that vanished as officers chased a trail swallowed by rush hour chaos. Vera sat with Sean, her hands shaking as she whispered, Sleeping. He's lying or he's killed her, and we're just waiting for him to say it. How do we live with this, Daniels? How do we keep going when he's tearing her away piece by piece? Her despair a tide that flooded the room, her grip on Sean a lifeline to sanity. Daniels knelt beside her, his voice steady as he said, He's keeping her in his story, sleeping, not gone. And that means she's still out there, Mrs. Scott. We're mapping these calls, closing the circle, and we'll get him before he finishes this, I swear it. His promise a fragile hope she clutched, though the stalker's silence stretched her nerves taut. Pam and Conrad canvassed Euclid by 5 p.m., their flyers fluttering in the breeze, Pam's voice raw as she told a clerk, he called from here. She's alive, or was, and this guy, this face, he's got her. Please, if you've seen him, tell us, because she's my sister and everything but blood. Her plea a desperate echo that rippled through the streets. Carter interviewed more suspects that evening, his questions relentless as he pressed Greg, the hippie regular. You liked her, she said no. Where were you Wednesday night? Though Greg shrugged, saying, at a concert, man, got tickets to prove it. She was cool, but I didn't stalk her. His alibi solid, leaving Carter with a shrinking pool of names. The search faltered by nightfall, police dogs resting as handlers shook their heads, their sweeps of rural fringes yielding nothing. Carter staring at the map, his voice low as he told Daniels, he's gone quiet again, calls are shorter, vaguer, and we're losing her, piece by piece, to a guy who's too damn good at this. Jacob returned at 9 p.m., his shirt soaked as he slumped beside Vera, his voice breaking as he said, I drove all day, Euclid everywhere, no sign, but she's out there, Vera, and he's mocking us, thinking he's untouchable. I'll keep going for her, for Sean. His hands trembling with a rage that burned through his fading strength. The phone rang again at 11:59 p.m., Daniels answering as the stalker hissed. She's fading now, fading fast, and you'll never find what's left because she's mine, forever mine. His voice a chilling promise that cut off after 9 seconds. The trace failing as the booth, Catella Avenue, yielded only echoes, police arriving to an empty night once more. Vera collapsed, her sobs a storm as she cried, fading, he's killing her or she's already gone, and he's laughing at us. How do we fight this, Jake? How do we save her when he's always ahead? Her anguish a mother's scream that pierced the silence, the night a void that swallowed their hope. Carter stood at the station at 2 a.m. on June 2nd, his map a graveyard of pins, his voice a growl as he muttered. He's winding down, calls are crueler, shorter, and she's slipping away, but we've got his circle, his game. We'll break him, Dorothy, we'll find you. His vow a flicker in a case turning cold, the stalker's voice a dark thread weaving through their lives. The trail went cold, the search a dying ember. Vera and Jacob's love a desperate pulse, Pam and Conrad's loyalty a weakening cry, the police's duty a dimming star. As the stalker's vengeful love tightened its grip, Dorothy's fate a whisper in the dark, her absence a scream that echoed through the weeks, unanswered and unrelenting. The early hours of June 2nd, 1980, draped the Scott family home in Anaheim, California, in a suffocating quiet, the phone's latest ring at 11:59 p.m. The stalker's chilling words, she's fading now, fading fast, still reverberating through Vera and Jacob Scott's minds, their fifth night without Dorothy Jane Scott a torturous vigil as they sat in the living room, surrounded by the debris of a search that had burned bright and now flickered on the edge of collapse. Vera clutched a pillow to her chest, her eyes hollow as she stared at Sean sleeping on the couch, his small form a fragile anchor as she whispered to Jacob, fading, he's taking her away piece by piece, and we're just waiting for him to tell us she's gone. I can't breathe, Jake, can't live with this not knowing, her voice a threadbare lament that broke against the silence. Jacob sat beside her, his hands gripping the armrests as he replied, he's not done with us. Those calls mean she's still out there, Vera, still fighting, and I'll keep driving, keep looking, because Dot's alive until he proves she isn't, and I won't let him bury her in his twisted little game. His determination a fading ember that glowed through the exhaustion etching his face. Sean stirred, his voice sleepy as he mumbled, Mommy's fading? Is she coming back soon? His question a dagger that pierced Vera's resolve, prompting her to pull him close, her tears falling as she whispered, she's trying, sweetie, so hard to come back. And we're helping her every day until she's here with us. Her promise a desperate shield for a child too young to grasp the darkness swallowing his mother. Officer Mark Daniels lingered in the doorway, his radio silent as he watched the Scotts, his voice low as he said, Catella Avenue booth, another miss, no prints, no witnesses, but he's staying close, taunting us, and we're running every lead. Sedan sightings, shop regulars, that sketch. Carter's pushing hard, and we're not stopping, not yet. His update a lifeline they clung to, though its repetition dulled its hope. Vera turned to him, her voice raw as she snapped. Not stopping? She's fading, Daniels, he's killing her, and you're chasing ghosts. 5 days, and all we've got is a map of phone booths. Bring her back, or tell me she's gone, but don't just stand there with empty words. Her anguish a mother's roar that shook the walls, a plea for an end to the torment. Daniels nodded, his hands raised as he replied, we're closing in, every call narrows his turf, and he's slipping, getting sloppy. We've got the whole county looking, Mrs. Scott, and we'll find her, alive or not, because he can't hide forever. his vow a fragile bridge over the abyss they teetered on, though the stalker's laughter lingered in their ears. Jacob stood, his keys jangling as he said, "I'm not waiting for forever. I'm going to Catella, checking every shadow because Dot's my girl, and I'll find her when your teams can't." His departure a gust that swept him out into the night, leaving Vera to rock Sean, her eyes on the phone that mocked their pain with its silence. At the Stanton police station, Detective Paul Carter stood before his team at 6 a.m. on June 2nd, his voice a growl as he pointed to the map. 6 calls now, 5th and Main, Harbor, Chapman, Bolsa, Brookhurst, Catella, all within 10 miles, all taunts. And he's got her stashed, alive or dead, but he's not leaving this circle, so we dig deeper, shake every tree until he falls out. His plan a desperate thrust against a case sliding into shadow. The sketch of the long-haired man glared from the wall, Carter's finger jabbing it as he told Daniels. He's someone she knew rejected him, ignored him, and he's turned love into this sick revenge, calling to rub it in. So we lean on her world, co-workers, customers, anyone who fits, because he's here, breathing our air. His theory a net tightening around an unseen prey. Pam Head and Conrad Bostron hit the streets by 8 a.m., their flyers now tattered, Pam's voice hoarse as she told a diner owner on Catella. "This guy, he's got Dorothy, took her Wednesday night. And he called again, said she's fading. Please, if you've seen him, help us because she's my best friend and he's breaking her." Her plea a haunting echo that rippled through the morning. Conrad canvassed nearby, his quiet resolve steady as he told a gas station clerk. "He used this booth last night, long hair, skinny, dark car, and Dorothy's out there with him, suffering. Anything you saw, anything at all, could save her." His words a lifeline that drew a nod, the clerk saying, "Saw a guy like that, nervous, smoking, drove off west, yesterday maybe." A thin lead Carter seized. By noon, the search trudged into its 6th day, volunteers dwindling as fatigue set in, their steps heavy along rural roads while helicopters buzzed overhead, their pilots reporting. Nothing in the hills, no sign by the river. Each empty sweep a blow to Carter's grit, his voice low as he told Daniels, "He's winning, outweighting us, and she's fading, just like he said." Jacob drove through Catella's sprawl, his pickup weaving past warehouses and motels, his eyes scanning for the sedan, his voice a mutter as he said, "You're fading, but I'm here fighting for you, and he's not taking you without a war." His search a lone crusade that burned through his fading strength, a father's love defying the odds. The phone rang at the Scotts at 3:15 p.m., Vera answering as Daniels signaled the trace, the stalker's voice a hiss. "She's gone quiet, Vera, so quiet now, and you'll never hear her laugh again because she's mine, all mine." His words a slow poison that dropped her to her knees, her cry piercing as the line held for 11 seconds, the trace pinning a booth on Orangewood Avenue, 3 miles from Catella. Police raced to Orangewood, arriving at 3:28 p.m. to find a kid on a bike, his voice shaky as he said, "Guy was here, scruffy long hair," yelled into the phone, then ran to a dark car, took off east fast. His sighting a fleeting chance that vanished into the afternoon haze, officers chasing a trail that dissolved in the heat. Vera sat with Sean, her hands trembling as she whispered, "Quiet, he's killed her, hasn't he? Or he's lying to torture us. And we're just waiting for the next call, like that's all we've got left of her." Her despair a tide that flooded the room, her grip on Sean a tether to a world unraveling. Daniels knelt beside her, his voice steady as he said, "He's keeping her in his story, quiet, not gone. And that means she's still out there, Mrs. Scott. We're mapping these booths, closing the circle, and we'll get him before he ends this, I swear it." His promise a faint hope she clutched, though the stalker's silence stretched her thin. Days bled into weeks, the calls growing sporadic. June 5th, "She's resting, forever resting." June 12th, "She's mine, and you're too late." Each one a dagger that kept Dorothy alive in their minds, though the traces failed, the booths empty, the sedan a ghost, Carter's voice a growl as he told Daniels, "He's winding down, taunting less, hiding more, and we're losing her piece by piece." The search faded by mid-June, volunteers gone, police efforts scaled back. Jacobs drives a solitary ritual as he muttered, "I'll find you, that I won't stop," while Vera sat with Sean, her voice a whisper. "She's out there waiting, and we'll bring her home somehow." Their love a flame that flickered in the dark. Years passed, the case growing cold. Calls stopped by 1982, the stalker's voice a fading echo, until August 6, 1984, when construction workers on Santa Ana Canyon Road unearthed bones. A skull with a turquoise ring, a woman's remains burned and buried, Carter arriving at the scene, his voice low as he said, It's her, Dorothy, 4 years too late, but we've got her. The coroner confirmed it on August 10th. Dorothy Jane Scott, dead since May 1980, her skull fractured, her body torched like her car, Vera collapsing as Jacob held her, his sobs a storm as he cried. We found you, but he took you and we couldn't stop him. Their closure a bitter pill after years of chasing a voice. Police matched the ring to Dorothy's, her family burying her on August 15, 1984, in a quiet Anaheim cemetery, Vera whispering over the grave. You're home, sweetheart, safe from him now, and we never stopped loving you. While Sean, now 8, clutched her hand, his tears a silent farewell to a mother he'd lost to the dark. Carter stood at the station that night, his map a relic, his voice a growl as he muttered. He won, killed her, hid her, taunted us. And we never got him, but she's back, Dorothy, and that's something. His regret a weight that lingered, the stalker's vengeful love a shadow that outlasted the search. The voice in the dark fell silent, Dorothy's fate sealed, Vera and Jacob's love a broken triumph, Pam and Conrad's loyalty a muted echo, the police's duty a faded vow. As her stalker vanished into the years, his revenge complete, her memory a whisper that pierced the silence, a cold case closed but never solved. The late summer sun of August 15, 1984, cast a golden glow over the Anaheim Hills Cemetery in California, where Vera and Jacob Scott stood beside a freshly dug grave, their daughter Dorothy Jane Scott laid to rest at last, her remains unearthed 9 days earlier on Santa Ana Canyon Road after 4 years missing. Now a silent testament to a nightmare that had begun with her abduction on May 29, 1980, and ended in a discovery that brought closure but no peace. Vera knelt beside the headstone, her fingers tracing the inscription. Dorothy Jane Scott, 1948 to 1980, beloved mother and daughter. Her voice a whisper as she said, You're home, sweetheart, safe from him now, and we tried so hard to find you, to keep you with us, but he took you, and I'll never forgive myself for letting him. Her tears falling onto the earth, a mother's grief a tide that had ebbed and flowed for years. Jacob stood beside her, his hands clenched around a bouquet of daisies, Dorothy's favorite, his voice breaking as he replied, We found you, too late, but we found you. And he didn't win, not completely, because you're here with us where you belong. His resolve a fragile shield against the anguish that had aged him beyond his 62 years, his eyes fixed on the grave that held his only daughter. Sean, now 8, clung to Vera's side, his small frame trembling as he placed a toy car on the headstone, his voice soft as he said, I miss you, Mommy. I don't remember much, but I know you loved me, and I wanted you to come back. His words a child's farewell to a mother he'd lost to memory, his tears a quiet echo of the loss that defined his young life. Officer Mark Daniels attended the funeral, his uniform crisp despite the weight of failure on his shoulders, his voice low as he told the Scotts. We got her back for you, 4 years too late, but she's here, and we're still hunting him, still chasing that sketch, because he doesn't get to walk away from this. His promise a lingering duty that burned through the years of dead ends. Vera turned to him, her eyes red but steady as she said, You found her bones, Daniels, but not him, not the man who did this. And I'll never sleep easy knowing he's out there, laughing at us, at her, after all he took. Her anger a mother's fire that flared against the cold reality of an unsolved case, her hands clutching Sean as if to shield him from the same fate. Daniels nodded, his tone firm as he replied, He's a ghost, Mrs. Scott. But ghosts leave traces, and we've got her now, her story, and we'll keep pushing for Dorothy, for you, until we nail him. His words a vow that carried the weight of his own regret, though the stalker's shadow loomed larger than ever in their silence. Detective Paul Carter stood at the edge of the crowd, his graying hair tousled by the breeze, his voice a growl as he muttered to Daniels, For years under dirt, burned, smashed, hidden, and we missed her by miles, missed him by inches, but this isn't over, not while I've got breath to chase him. His eyes on the grave, a marker of a case that had consumed him since that first frantic night. The days after the burial stretched into a hollow routine. The Scott home a museum of loss. Dorothy's photos on the mantel, her scarf draped over a chair, Sean's drawings pinned to the fridge, Vera moving through it like a ghost herself, her voice soft as she told Jacob on August 20th. She's gone, but I feel her everywhere. And him too, watching us still, waiting to twist the knife again. Jacob sat at the kitchen table, his hands tracing a map he'd kept from the search, his reply steady as he said, He's not done, I know it in my gut, and I'll be ready when he calls again, because Dot's resting now, but we're not until he's in a cage or a grave. his vigilance a father's oath that refused to fade, even as the years piled on. Pam had visited that afternoon, her freckled face pale as she hugged Vera, her voice breaking as she said, "I saw her laid to rest, my best friend, gone all this time, and I keep thinking I should have walked her to that car, should have stopped him, but I didn't, and now she's here, and he's not." Her guilt a weight that lingered from that night at UCI Medical Center. Conrad Bostron followed, his quiet presence a comfort as he told Sean, "Your mom was brave, helped me when I was sick, and she'd be proud of you, growing up strong." His words a bridge to a memory Sean could barely grasp, his arms still scarred from the spider bite that had set the tragedy in motion. The phone rang at 7:42 p.m. on August 20th, Vera's breath catching as she answered, the stalker's voice hissing through. "She's buried now, Vera, but I still see her, still have her, and you'll never take her from me, not really." His taunt a fresh wound that dropped her to her knees, her scream bringing Jacob running as the line cut off after 10 seconds. The trace failing to a booth on Ball Road, too late again. Jacob grabbed the receiver, his roar echoing as he shouted into the dead line. "You're a dead man. Touch her memory again, and I'll find you, rip you apart." Though the silence mocked him, the stalker's laugh a lingering poison that reignited the terror they'd thought buried with Dorothy's bones. Daniels rushed over, arriving at 8 p.m. with a technician, his voice urgent as he said, "He's back, calling after the funeral, rubbing it in, and we'll trace it next time, nail him, because he's not letting go even now." His plan a desperate grasp at a case that refused to die, the stalker's vengeful love a chain that bound them still. Carter met them at the station that night, his map updated with the Ball Road pin, his voice a growl as he told Daniels, he's obsessed, for years, and he's still tied to her, calling to claim her. And that's his mistake, because he'll keep it up, and we'll catch him slipping, mark my words. His certainty a flicker in the dark, a hunter's instinct rekindled by the fresh taunt. The calls persisted through 1984, September 3rd, "She's mine, always mine." October 15th, "You buried her, but I keep her." Each one a dagger that kept Dorothy's loss raw, Vera's voice a sob as she told Jacob, "He's never letting her go, never letting us go, and I can't live with his voice in my head, not after we've laid her to rest." Jacob sat by the phone each night, his hands steady as he replied, "He's a coward, hiding, taunting, and I'll wait him out, Vera, because Dot's free now, and he's not while he's chained to this sick game." His vigil of fathers stand against a shadow that refused to fade, his love for Dorothy a shield against the stalker's cruelty. Sean grew quiet, his days spent at school where kids whispered about his missing mom, his voice soft as he asked Vera on November 1st, "Why's he still calling? Doesn't he know Mommy's gone?" His confusion a child's wound that deepened with every ring, Vera's answer a whisper, "He's lost, sweetie, lost to her, and we're stronger than him, always will be." Pam and Conrad kept vigil too, their visits a lifeline, Pam telling Vera, "He's a monster, but Dorothy's bigger than him, bigger than this," while Conrad added, "She's at peace, and he's not, we'll outlast him." Their loyalty a thread that wove through the Scotts' unraveling lives, a bond forged in shared loss. Carter chased the calls through 1985, each trace a dead end, booths in Fullerton, Tustin, Costa Mesa, his voice a growl as he told Daniels, "He's moving wider, but he's still here, still obsessed. And we've got her now, her story, and that's power, power to draw him out." His hunt a relentless pulse in a case grown cold but never closed. The echoes of Dorothy's absence stretched into the years, Vera and Jacob's home a shrine to her memory. Her laughter in Sean's smile, her courage in their fight. While the stalker's voice lingered, a dark refrain of vengeful love that taunted them through the silence, a mystery unsolved, a wound unhealed, her legacy a light that pierced the dark he'd cast. The winter of 1985 settled over Anaheim, California, with a chill that seeped into the Scott family home, where Vera and Jacob Scott faced their first holiday season since burying Dorothy Jane Scott in August 1984. Her remains, found after 4 years missing, now a quiet presence in the cemetery, though the stalker's voice lingered like a ghost. His calls a cruel reminder of the vengeful love that had stolen her from them on May 29, 1980, and refused to let her rest. Vera decorated a small Christmas tree on December 20th, her hands trembling as she hung ornaments Dorothy had loved, glass stars, a tiny angel, her voice soft as she told Jacob she'd be here, helping Sean with the lights, laughing at us for arguing over tinsel. And he's still out there, still calling, keeping her from us even now, her tears falling onto the needles, a mother's grief sharpened by the holidays. Jacob sat by the fireplace, his eyes on a photo of Dorothy with Sean as a baby, his reply steady as he said, "He's not keeping her. She's here, Vera, in this house, in us. And I'll sit by that phone every night until he stops, because Dot's free, and he's the one trapped, chained to his sick obsession." His vigil of father's defiance against the shadow that haunted their lives. Sean, now 9, helped with the tree, his small hands careful as he placed a star at the top, his voice quiet as he asked, "Does Mommy see us, Grandma? Does she know we miss her?" His question a child's longing that pierced Vera's heart, prompting her to kneel beside him, her arms wrapping around him as she whispered, "She sees you, sweetie, every day, and she's so proud, so happy you're growing strong." Her love a bridge to a mother he barely remembered. Officer Mark Daniels visited that afternoon, his coat dusted with snow as he updated the Scotts. "The calls are slowing. Last one was October 15th from Costa Mesa, and we traced it, but he's gone by the time we get there. Still the same voice, same taunts, but he's slipping away and we're still hunting, still pushing that sketch." His report a fading echo of a promise that had sustained them through years of loss. Vera looked at him, her eyes weary as she said, "Slipping away? He's been slipping away since he took her, Daniels. And now we've got her grave, but not him, not justice. And every call's a knife, reminding us he's free while she's not." Her bitterness a mother's wound that refused to heal, her hands clutching Sean as if to guard him from the same fate. Daniels nodded, his tone firm as he replied, "He's not free. He's obsessed, tied to her. And that's his cage. We've got her back, Mrs. Scott, her story. And we're not letting it die, not letting him vanish without a fight." His words a vow that carried the weight of his own sleepless years, though the stalker's silence loomed like a storm on the horizon. Detective Paul Carter called from the station that evening, his voice a growl over the line as he told Daniels, "He's dialing back, for calls since August, shorter each time, and he's moving south, Fullerton to Costa Mesa, but he's still here, still hooked on her. And we'll catch him when he breaks, because he can't let her go, not ever." His hunt a relentless pulse in a case grown cold but never closed. The calls trickled through 1986, January 10th. "She's with me, always with me." March 22nd. "You can't have her back." Each one a jolt that kept Dorothy's absence raw, Vera's voice a sob as she told Jacob, "He's fading, but not fast enough. Every ring's a piece of her he won't let go. And I can't stand it, can't live with his voice in our house." Her hands trembling as she clutched the phone logs she'd kept since 1980. Jacob sat by her, his hands steady as he replied, "He's losing steam, Vera. Calls are weaker, less often. And Dot's stronger than him, always was. We've got her now, safe from him, and he's just a shadow barking in the dark." His comfort a father's strength that held them together, though the stalker's presence gnawed at their peace. Sean grew taller, his days filled with school and friends, though he'd pause at Dorothy's photos, his voice soft as he asked Vera on April 5th. "Why'd he hate her so much? She didn't do anything, did she?" His confusion a child's wound that deepened with time, Vera's answer a whisper, "He didn't hate her, sweetie. He loved her too much in a twisted way, and she didn't deserve it, not one bit." Pam Head visited weekly, her freckled hands bringing cookies for Sean, her voice breaking as she told Vera, "I hear her in the quiet, her laugh, her jokes. And he's still out there, stealing that from us, but Dorothy's bigger than him, bigger than this." Her loyalty a thread that wove through the Scotts' unraveling lives, a bond forged in shared memory. Conrad Bostrom joined her on May 1st, 1986, his quiet presence a balm as he told Sean, "Your mom was my friend. She'd light up the shop, even scared. And she'd want you to keep shining, kid." His words a gift to a boy growing up in her shadow, his own scars a reminder of the night that had changed everything. The phone rang at 9:17 p.m. that day, Vera's breath catching as she answered, the stalker's voice a hiss. "She's mine, Vera, mine forever, and you'll never change that, not with your prayers or your tears." His taunt a fresh scar that dropped her to the floor, her cry echoing as Jacob snatched the receiver, his roar lost to a dead line after 8 seconds, the trace failing to a booth in Irvine, too late again. Daniels rushed over, arriving at 9:45 p.m., his voice urgent as he said, "He's still at it, 6 years, and he's not quitting. But Irvine's south, he's drifting, and we'll map it, chase it, because he's hooked, and that's our shot." His plan a desperate grasp at a voice that refused to fade, the stalker's vengeful love a chain that bound them still. Carter met them at the station that night, his map a sprawl of pins, his voice a growl as he told Daniels, "He's taunting less, 6 calls in 2 years, and he's moving, but he's local, still tied to her. and we'll outlast him because Dorothy's ours now, not his. His certainty a flicker in a case that lingered like a wound, a hunter's instinct dulled but unbroken. The calls slowed through 1987. July 14th, she's gone, but I've got her. November 3rd, you'll never win. Each one a whisper that kept Dorothy's loss alive, Vera's voice a sob as she told Jacob. He's fading, but he's still here, still cutting us. And I can't escape him, not while Sean grows up without her. Her hands clutching the logs, a record of pain she couldn't release. Jacob sat by the phone, his hands steady as he replied, He's dying out, Vera. Calls are nothing now, just noise, and Dot's stronger, resting where he can't touch her. We've got Sean, her light, and he's got nothing but his hate. His comfort a father's balm that soothed the raw edges, though the stalker's echo lingered in their walls. Sean turned 11 in 1988, his days a mix of soccer and school, though he'd sit with Vera at night, his voice soft as he asked, Will he ever stop? I don't want him calling when I'm big. His fear a child's scar that time couldn't erase, Vera's answer a whisper, He's almost gone, sweetie. And you're stronger than him, like your mom was, her love a shield against the dark. Pam and Conrad kept their visits, Pam telling Vera on June 1st, He's losing her. She's ours now, in our hearts, and he's just a voice fading fast, while Conrad added, She'd smile at Sean at us. And he can't take that, not anymore. Their presence a lifeline that held the Scotts through the years. The last call came on August 15, 1988, 4 years to the day since Dorothy's burial, Vera answering at 10:03 p.m., the stalker's voice a faint hiss, She's mine, always mine. Before cutting off after 5 seconds, the trace failing to a booth in Santa Ana, Daniels arriving too late, his voice low as he said, That's it, weakest yet, he's done or dying, and we've got her, not him. Carter stood at the station that night, his map a relic, his voice a growl as he muttered, 8 years, he's gone quiet, maybe gone. And we never got him, but Dorothy's home, and that's our win, our piece of her. His regret a weight that settled, the stalker's vengeful love a whisper that faded into silence. The echoes of absence stretched into the late 1980s, Vera and Jacob's home a sanctuary of memory. Dorothy's laughter in Sean's eyes, her courage in their endurance. While the stalker's voice fell still, his revenge a hollow victory, her legacy a light that outshone the dark, a cold case closed in spirit if not in fact, her family's love a triumph that time couldn't dim. The early 1990s swept into Anaheim, California, with a quiet inevitability. The suburban streets of the Scott family home bathed in the soft light of a new decade, where Vera and Jacob Scott lived with the enduring absence of their daughter Dorothy Jane Scott, whose abduction on May 29, 1980, and burial in August 1984 had left a scar that time softened but never healed, her memory a constant presence in a house now shaped by the years and the silence of a stalker whose calls had ceased by 1988. Vera stood in the kitchen on January 5, 1990, her silver hair pulled back as she kneaded dough for Sean's favorite bread, her voice soft as she told Jacob, It's been 10 years since she vanished, 6 since we laid her to rest, and I still hear her in the quiet, still wait for that phone to ring, even though he's gone or dead or just done with us. Her hands steady with a mother's rhythm, though her eyes glistened with a grief that lingered like a shadow. Jacob sat at the table, his hands tracing the edges of a newspaper article about unsolved cases, his reply steady as he said, He's done, stopped calling, stopped taunting, and Dot's safe now, Vera, here with us in spirit. But I'll never stop wondering who he was, never stop wanting him in chains for what he did. His vigilance a father's echo that refused to fade, his gaze fixed on a photo of Dorothy smiling with Sean as a toddler. Sean, now 14, bounded in from school, his lanky frame filling the doorway as he dropped his backpack, his voice bright as he said, Got an A on my history project. Wrote about Mom, how she was brave, and the teacher said it was the best in class. His pride a spark that lit the room, his hazel eyes, Dorothy's eyes, a mirror to a mother he knew through stories and fading memories. Vera turned, her smile warm as she wiped flour from her hands, her voice gentle as she said, She'd be so proud, Sean. Proud of you growing up strong, smart, just like she always wanted. And she's watching, I know she is, cheering you on every step. Her love a bridge across the years, her arms pulling him into a hug that held the weight of their shared loss. Jacob nodded, his eyes softening as he added, You're her legacy, kid, everything she fought for, and we'll keep her alive in you, no matter how long it's been. His words a grandfather's vow that tethered Sean to a past he could only imagine, his hand ruffling the boy's hair with a tenderness honed by grief. Officer Mark Daniels, now a sergeant, visited that afternoon, his uniform crisp as he sat with the Scotts, his voice steady as he said, "It's been quiet since '88, no calls, no leads, but we're not closing it, not with Dorothy's case still open, and there's talk at the station about a cold case unit, something to dig back into her story, find that bastard." His update a flicker of hope that stirred the air. Vera leaned forward, her hands clasped as she replied, "Quiet's not enough, Daniels, he's out there, living while she's not. And Sean's growing up without her because of him, so if there's a unit, a chance you take it, because I need to know who he was, need to see him pay." Her determination a mother's fire that burned through the decade's silence, her eyes locked on his. Daniels nodded, his tone firm as he said, "I'm pushing for it. Carter's still in, still obsessed, and we've got her file, her calls, that sketch. If he's alive, we'll find him, Mrs. Scott, because Dorothy deserves it, and you do too." His promise a thread that wove through the years, a duty that refused to let her memory fade into the cold. Detective Paul Carter, now nearing retirement, sat in his office at the Stanton police station on January 6th, his desk buried under files, his voice a growl as he told Daniels over coffee. 10 years since she went missing, 6 since we found her. And he's still a ghost, but I've got her map, her calls, and I'll push this cold case unit until my last day, because he doesn't get to outrun us forever. His hunt a relentless pulse that beat through his graying years. The cold case talk gained traction by spring, Carter meeting with Orange County brass on March 15th, his voice sharp as he argued. Dorothy Scott, abducted 80, found 84, stalked for years after, voice on the phone, sedan sightings, a sketch. And he's local, still out there, laughing at us. So give me a team, a budget, and we'll crack it for her, for them. His plea a spark that lit a slow fuse, the wheels of justice creaking into motion. Vera and Jacob kept their routine, their days a quiet rhythm. Sean's soccer games, bread baking, evening prayers. Though Vera paused at Dorothy's grave on May 29, 1990, the 10th anniversary, her voice a whisper as she said, 10 years, sweetheart, since he took you, and we're still here, still fighting, because you're worth it, always will be." Her flowers a tribute that bloomed against the stone. Jacob stood beside her, his hand on her shoulder as he added, "We've got Sean, your boy, and he's growing up right, but I'll never rest easy until he's caught, until we know who he was, so you can rest too." His vow a father's echo that carried on the wind, his eyes scanning the horizon as if the stalker might still lurk there. Sean joined them, his voice soft as he said, "I wrote about you again, Mom, for English, and I said you were a hero, because you didn't let him scare you, not really." His tribute a boy's gift to a mother he knew through their stories, his hand brushing the headstone with a tenderness beyond his years. Pam had visited that evening, her freckled hands bringing a photo album, her voice breaking as she told Vera, 10 years, I still see her at the shop, hear her laugh, and he's out there free, but she's bigger than him, bigger than this, and will keep her alive." Her loyalty a flame that burned through the decade, her tears falling onto faded pictures. Conrad Bostron followed, his quiet presence steady as he said, "She'd love Sean, love how you're raising him. And she'd tell us to keep going because she never gave up, not even that night." His words a bridge to a memory that held them together, his arm a silent support as they stood in the Scotts' living room. The phone rang at 9:47 p.m., Vera's heart lurching as she answered, though it was only Daniels, his voice calm as he said, "No stalker, just me. Wanted to check in, let you know the unit's approved, starting next month, and Carter's leading it, so we're back on, Mrs. Scott, back for Dorothy." His news a jolt that stirred the air, a flicker of justice in a case grown still. Vera exhaled, her hand steadying as she replied, "Thank you, Daniels, 10 years, and you're still here, still fighting. And if Carter's on it, tell him to find him, because Sean needs it, we need it, and Dorothy's waiting." Her hope a fragile bloom that rose from the ashes, her eyes on Jacob as he nodded, a silent agreement to see it through. Carter launched the cold case unit on June 1, 1990, his office a war room. Dorothy's files spread across the desk, tapes of the stalker's calls queued up, the sketch pinned to the wall, his voice a growl as he told his small team, "She's been gone 10 years, found 6, and he called until 88, taunting, gloating, so we start here with her life, her world, and we don't stop until we've got a name." His command a rallying cry that echoed through the years. Daniels joined him, his voice steady as he said, "We've got her logs, booths from Santa Ana to Irvine, sedan sightings, that long-haired creep. And he's someone she knew, someone who couldn't let go, so we dig, re-interview, chase every thread." his partnership a lifeline that tethered Carter to the case, a shared mission rekindled by time. Vera sat with Sean that night, her hands holding his as she said, "They're looking again, sweetie, for the man who took your mom, and we'll help keep her strong because you're her heart, and he can't touch that." Her love a shield that wrapped around him, her voice a whisper that carried Dorothy's spirit into the new decade. Jacob watched from the doorway, his eyes on the phone that had fallen silent, his voice low as he muttered, "He's out there, or he's dust. But either way, we're coming for him, for you, because 10 years isn't the end, not while we've got breath." His vow a father's promise that burned through the shadows of memory, a light that refused to dim. The shadows of Dorothy's memory stretched into the 1990s, Vera and Jacob's home a sanctuary of her legacy. Her laughter in Sean's voice, her courage in their fight. While the stalker's absence loomed, his vengeful love a silent echo, her story a call that stirred the past, a cold case reignited by a family's unbreakable bond. The early 1990s swept into Anaheim, California, with a quiet inevitability. The suburban streets of the Scott family home bathed in the soft light of a new decade, where Vera and Jacob Scott lived with the enduring absence of their daughter Dorothy Jane Scott, whose abduction on May 29, 1980, and burial in August 1984 had left a scar that time softened but never healed. Her memory a constant presence in a house now shaped by the years and the silence of a stalker whose calls had ceased by 1988. Vera stood in the kitchen on January 5, 1990, her silver hair pulled back as she kneaded dough for Sean's favorite bread, her voice soft as she told Jacob, "It's been 10 years since she vanished, 6 since we laid her to rest, and I still hear her in the quiet, still wait for that phone to ring, even though he's gone or dead or just done with us." Her hands steady with a mother's rhythm, though her eyes glistened with a grief that lingered like a shadow. Jacob sat at the table, his hands tracing the edges of a newspaper article about unsolved cases, his reply steady as he said, "He's done, stopped calling, stopped taunting. And Dot's safe now, Vera, here with us in spirit, but I'll never stop wondering who he was, never stop wanting him in chains for what he did." His vigilance a father's echo that refused to fade, his gaze fixed on a photo of Dorothy smiling with Sean as a toddler. Sean, now 14, bounded in from school, his lanky frame filling the doorway as he dropped his backpack, his voice bright as he said, "Got an A on my history project. Wrote about Mom, how she was brave, and the teacher said it was the best in class." His pride a spark that lit the room, his hazel eyes, Dorothy's eyes, a mirror to a mother he knew through stories and fading memories. Vera turned, her smile warm as she wiped flour from her hands, her voice gentle as she said, "She'd be so proud, Sean, proud of you growing up strong, smart, just like she always wanted, and she's watching, I know she is, cheering you on every step." Her love a bridge across the years, her arms pulling him into a hug that held the weight of their shared loss. Jacob nodded, his eyes softening as he added, "You're her legacy, kid, everything she fought for, and we'll keep her alive in you, no matter how long it's been." His words a grandfather's vow that tethered Sean to a past he could only imagine, his hand ruffling the boy's hair with a tenderness honed by grief. Officer Mark Daniels, now a sergeant, visited that afternoon, his uniform crisp as he sat with the Scotts, his voice steady as he said, "It's been quiet since '88, no calls, no leads, but we're not closing it, not with Dorothy's case still open, and there's talk at the station about a cold case unit, something to dig back into her story, find that bastard." His update a flicker of hope that stirred the air. Vera leaned forward, her hands clasped as she replied, "Quiet's not enough, Daniels, he's out there, living while she's not. And Sean's growing up without her because of him, so if there's a unit, a chance you take it, because I need to know who he was, need to see him pay." Her determination a mother's fire that burned through the decade's silence, her eyes locked on his. Daniels nodded, his tone firm as he said, "I'm pushing for it. Carter's still in, still obsessed, and we've got her file, her calls, that sketch. If he's alive, we'll find him, Mrs. Scott, because Dorothy deserves it, and you do too." His promise a thread that wove through the years, a duty that refused to let her memory fade into the cold. Detective Paul Carter, now nearing retirement, sat in his office at the Stanton Police Station on January 6th, his desk buried under files, his voice a growl as he told Daniels over coffee. 10 years since she went missing, 6 since we found her, and he's still a ghost, but I've got her map, her calls, and I'll push this cold case unit until my last day, because he doesn't get to outrun us forever." His hunt a relentless pulse that beat through his graying years. The cold case talk gained traction by spring, Carter meeting with Orange County brass on March 15th, his voice sharp as he argued. Dorothy Scott, abducted 80, found 84, stalked for years after, voice on the phone, sedan sightings, a sketch. And he's local, still out there laughing at us. So give me a team, a budget, and we'll crack it for her, for them. His plea a spark that lit a slow fuse, the wheels of justice creaking into motion. Vera and Jacob kept their routine, their days a quiet rhythm. Sean's soccer games, bread baking, evening prayers. Though Vera paused at Dorothy's grave on May 29, 1990, the 10th anniversary, her voice a whisper as she said, 10 years, sweetheart, since he took you. And we're still here, still fighting, because you're worth it, always will be. Her flowers a tribute that bloomed against the stone. Jacob stood beside her, his hand on her shoulder as he added, we've got Sean, your boy, and he's growing up right, but I'll never rest easy until he's caught, until we know who he was, so you can rest too. His vow a father's echo that carried on the wind, his eyes scanning the horizon as if the stalker might still lurk there. Sean joined them, his voice soft as he said, I wrote about you again, Mom, for English, and I said you were a hero, because you didn't let him scare you, not really. His tribute a boy's gift to a mother he knew through their stories, his hand brushing the headstone with a tenderness beyond his years. Pam had visited that evening, her freckled hands bringing a photo album, her voice breaking as she told Vera, 10 years, I still see her at the shop, hear her laugh, and he's out there free, but she's bigger than him, bigger than this, and we'll keep her alive. Her loyalty a flame that burned through the decade, her tears falling onto faded pictures. Conrad Bostrom followed, his quiet presence steady as he said, she'd love Sean, love how you're raising him, and she'd tell us to keep going because she never gave up, not even that night. His words a bridge to a memory that held them together, his arm a silent support as they stood in the Scotts' living room. The phone rang at 9:47 p.m., Vera's heart lurching as she answered, though it was only Daniel's, his voice calm as he said, no stalker, just me. Wanted to check in, let you know the unit's approved, starting next month, and Carter's leading it. So we're back on, Mrs. Scott, back for Dorothy. His news a jolt that stirred the air, a flicker of justice in a case grown still. Vera exhaled, her hands steadying as she replied, thank you, Daniels, 10 years, and you're still here, still fighting. And if Carter's on it, tell him to find him, because Sean needs it, we need it, and Dorothy's waiting. Her hope a fragile bloom that rose from the ashes, her eyes on Jacob as he nodded, a silent agreement to see it through. Carter launched the cold case unit on June 1, 1990, his office a war room. Dorothy's files spread across the desk, tapes of the stalker's calls queued up, the sketch pinned to the wall, his voice a growl as he told his small team. She's been gone 10 years, found 6, and he called until 88, taunting, gloating, so we start here with her life, her world, and we don't stop until we've got a name. His command a rallying cry that echoed through the years. Daniels joined him, his voice steady as he said, we've got her logs, booths from Santa Ana to Irvine, sedan sightings, that long-haired creep. And he's someone she knew, someone who couldn't let go, so we dig, re-interview, chase every thread. His partnership a lifeline that tethered Carter to the case, a shared mission rekindled by time. Vera sat with Sean that night, her hands holding his as she said, they're looking again, sweetie, for the man who took your mom, and we'll help keep her strong, because you're her heart, and he can't touch that. Her love a shield that wrapped around him, her voice a whisper that carried Dorothy's spirit into the new decade. Jacob watched from the doorway, his eyes on the phone that had fallen silent, his voice low as he muttered, he's out there, or he's dust. But either way, we're coming for him, for you, because 10 years isn't the end, not while we've got breath. His vow a father's promise that burned through the shadows of memory, a light that refused to dim. The shadows of Dorothy's memory stretched into the 1990s, Vera and Jacob's home a sanctuary of her legacy. Her laughter in Sean's voice, her courage in their fight. While the stalker's absence loomed, his vengeful love a silent echo, her story a call that stirred the past. A cold case reignited by a family's unbreakable bond. The mid-1990s rolled into Anaheim, California, with a steady hum of progress. The Scott family home a quiet anchor amid the changing tides, where Vera and Jacob Scott lived with the enduring legacy of their daughter Dorothy Jane Scott, whose abduction on May 29, 1980, and discovery in 1984 had marked 15 years by 1995. Her memory a constant thread woven through their lives as the cold case unit's efforts flickered in the background. chasing a stalker whose vengeful love had silenced but never vanished. Vera stood in the backyard on May 29, 1995, her hands tending a rose bush Dorothy had planted, her voice soft as she told Jacob, 15 years today, since he took her, and these roses still bloom like she's still here, but I wonder if we'll ever know who he was, ever see him pay for what he stole. Her fingers brushing the petals, a mother's grief softened by time yet sharp with unanswered questions. Jacob sat on a patio chair, his cane resting beside him as age slowed his steps, his reply steady as he said, 15 years, and Carter's still at it, still digging. So we'll know, Vera, because Dot's worth it and Sean's growing up fast, needing that answer as much as we do. His resolve a father's echo that carried through the years, his eyes on the roses that held her touch. Sean, now 19, emerged from the house, his broad shoulders filling a college t-shirt from Cal State Fullerton, his voice bright as he said, got my finals done, ace psychology, and I've been thinking about Mom, how she'd love I'm studying people, figuring them out. His pride a spark that lit the yard, his hazel eyes, Dorothy's gift, a mirror to a mother he honored through his choices. Vera turned, her smile warm as she wiped dirt from her hands, her voice gentle as she said, she'd be over the moon, Sean, proud you're chasing your dreams, understanding minds, just like she understood everyone, and she's with you, every step cheering you on. Her love a bridge across the decades, her arms pulling him into a hug that carried her strength. Jacob nodded, his eyes softening as he added, you're her heart, kid, smart, strong, and if she saw you now, she'd say keep going because you're making her shine even after all this time. His words a grandfather's vow that tethered Sean to a past he embraced, his hand clapping the boy's back with a pride honed by loss. Sergeant Mark Daniels visited that afternoon, his hair graying as he sat with the Scotts, his voice steady as he said, 15 years since she went missing. And the unit's still active, slower now, but Carter's got us chasing old leads, rechecking tapes, because he's out there, or was, and we're not letting it die. His update a flicker of persistence that stirred the air, a duty that refused to fade. Vera leaned forward, her hands clasped as she replied, 15 years, Daniels, and Sean's a man now, building a life without her. So if you're still chasing, make it count, because he needs to know, needs closure, and I need to sleep without dreaming of that voice. Her determination a mother's plea that echoed through the years, her eyes locked on his with a quiet fire. Daniels nodded, his tone firm as he said, we're making it count, Carter's got a hunch, digging into shop customers again, and we've got new tech voice analysis that might crack those calls. So hold on, Mrs. Scott, because Dorothy's still driving this, still pushing us. His words a vow that carried the weight of his own long fight, a promise renewed in the mid-90s light. Detective Paul Carter, now 60 and nearing his final years on the force, sat in the cold case unit's office on May 30th, his voice a growl as he briefed his team. 15 years since Dorothy vanished, 11 since we found her. And he's a shadow, but shadows leave marks, so we're back to her world, her rejects, her watchers, because he's in there, and I'll find him before I'm done. His command a rallying cry that filled the cramped space. The old tape spun. She's mine, and no one else can have her. Carter's finger tapping the desk as he told Daniels, that rasp, unique, local. And he knew her life, so we're running voice prints now, matching 70s Novas to shop ties, because he's someone she brushed off, someone who snapped, and he's still breathing our air. His hunt a relentless pulse that throbbed through his waning career. Pam had met the team at Swinger's Psych Shop on June 5th, now a faded relic of its hippie past, her voice breaking as she said, 15 years, and I still see her here locking up, scared, and that sedan, that guy, he'd watch her, and I didn't stop it, so if you've got new tricks, use them, because she deserves it. Her guilt a raw thread that wove through her words, her hands clutching a photo of Dorothy smiling. Conrad Bostrom joined her, his quiet voice steady as he added, she'd tense up, those last months, and that creep, long hair, skinny, he'd ask about her, linger, and we missed it, so if those tapes talk, listen, because she's still waiting. His memory a piece that fit Carter's puzzle, his eyes scanning the lot where the past lingered like a ghost. By July 1st, the unit had re-interviewed 20 old suspects, Carter's questions sharp as he pressed Greg, the hippie. You flirted, she said no. Where were you in 80? Though Greg shrugged, saying, Venice Beach, man, got photos, and yeah, I liked her, but I didn't stalk her. His alibi solid, leaving Carter with a growl of frustration as another lead slipped away. Daniels worked the voice analysis, his voice low as he told Carter. Text slow, tapes are degraded, but we've got a profile. Male 30s and 80s smokers rasp, and we're cross-checking sedan registrations, shop regulars, because he's in that overlap, and he's not dust yet. His persistence a lifeline that tethered the team to the case, a decade's silence challenged anew. Vera and Jacob kept their rhythm, their days a quiet dance. Sean's college stories, garden tending. Though Vera paused at Dorothy's grave on July 29th, her voice a whisper as she said, 15 years, sweetheart. And they're still fighting, still listening. And Sean's a man now like you dreamed, so help them, guide them. Her flowers a tribute that bloomed against the stone, her hands steady with a fragile hope. Jacob stood beside her, his cane firm as he added, we're close, I feel it, and Carter's not quitting, so rest easy because Sean's your light and we'll get him for you. His vow a father's echo that carried on the breeze, his eyes scanning the horizon for a shadow long faded. Sean joined them, his voice soft as he said, I wrote a paper on you, Mom, on courage, and my prof said it's publishable, so you're out there, still teaching. His tribute a young man's gift to a mother he knew through their love, his hand brushing the headstone with a strength that echoed hers. Pam visited that night, her voice steady as she told Vera, Carter's pushing, new tech, old faces, and it's stirring hope, because Dorothy's worth it, worth every year we've waited. Her loyalty a flame that burned through the decades, her hands clutching a worn photo of her and Dorothy laughing. Conrad followed, his quiet presence a comfort as he said, she'd say keep going, and Sean's her proof, her win, so we don't stop, not now. His words a bridge to a memory that held them together, his arm a silent support as they sat in the Scotts' living room. On August 15, 1995, 11 years since Dorothy's burial, a tip came to the unit, a woman calling anonymously, her voice shaky as she told Daniels, saw your sketch on TV, long hair, skinny, and I knew a guy, Mike, worked at Custom John's in 80, obsessed with a girl there, drove a dark Nova, and he'd talk about her, how she'd be his. Her words a jolt that electrified the room, a whisper from the past breaking through. Carter seized it, his voice a growl as he told the team, Mike, first name shop tie sedan match. And he's our ghost, or damn close, so we dig employment records DMV neighbors because this is it, our shot, and Dorothy's screaming for it. His excitement a fire that flared through his weary frame, a hunter's instinct reborn. Daniels nodded, his tone steady as he said, Custom John's, closed now, but records exist, and 70s Novas we've got lists, so we cross-check find this Mike because he's local, and he's the voice I'd bet my badge. His plan a desperate thrust at a trail reignited, a duty that pulsed through the years. Vera sat with Sean that night, her hands holding his as she said, they've got a name, sweetie, a lead, and your mom's guiding them because you're her heart and he can't hide forever. Her love a shield that wrapped around him, her voice a whisper that carried Dorothy's spirit into the fight. Jacob watched from the doorway, his eyes on the silent phone, his voice low as he muttered, 15 years, Dat, and we're closing in, so hang on because Sean's growing right and we'll get him for you, for us. His vow a father's promise that burned through the whispers of the past, a light that pierced the shadows of memory. The whispers of Dorothy's past stirred in the mid-1990s, Vera and Jacob's home a sanctuary of her legacy, her courage in Sean's stride, her love in their fight. While the stalker's shadow loomed, his vengeful love a muted echo, her story a call that broke the silence, a cold case trembling on the edge of revelation. The late summer of 1995 stretched across Anaheim, California, with a restless heat. The Scott family home a quiet bastion where Vera and Jacob Scott lived with the persistent echo of their daughter Dorothy Jane Scott's memory. Her abduction 15 years passed on May 29, 1980, her remains buried in 1984, and a cold case unit now buzzing with a tip from August 15th. A name, Mike, tied to Custom John's, a dark Nova, and an obsession that might finally unmask the stalker whose vengeful love had haunted them for over a decade. Vera sat in the living room on August 16th, her hands folding a quilt Dorothy had started, her voice soft as she told Jacob, 15 years, and now a name, a real lead. And I want to believe it's him, want to see his face, but I'm scared, Jake, scared it's another ghost, another hope that'll fade like all the rest. Her fingers tracing the stitches, a mother's hope trembling against a history of loss. Jacob leaned forward in his chair, his cane tapping the floor as he replied, it's not a ghost, Vera. Carter's got teeth in this, a name, a car, a place. And if this Mike's our guy, we'll know because Dot's pushing them, and Sean's growing up needing this, needing him caught. His resolve a father's fire that burned through the years, his eyes glinting with a cautious thrill. Sean, now 19, strode in from the kitchen, his college books under his arm, his voice eager as he said, "Grandma, Grandpa, Daniels called, said they're chasing this Mike guy. And I've been reading Mom's old journals, feeling her like she's here, cheering us on." His excitement a spark that lit the room, his hazel eyes, Dorothy's legacy, bright with a son's hunger for justice. Vera set the quilt aside, her smile warm as she pulled him close, her voice gentle as she said, "She's with you, Sean, always has been. And if this Mike's the one, she's guiding them because you're her heart, and she'd want you to see this through, to know her fight's yours too." Her love a bridge across the decades, her arms wrapping him in a hug that carried her strength. Jacob nodded, his eyes softening as he added, "You're her blood, kid, and this could be it, the end of his shadow. So you keep reading, keep her alive, because 15 years is long enough to wait for answers." His words a grandfather's vow that tethered Sean to a mother he honored, his hand clapping the boy's shoulder with a pride forged in grief. Sergeant Mark Daniels arrived that evening, his face lined with focus as he updated the Scotts. "Carter's all over this tip. Mike, no last name yet, but Custom John's had a part-timer in 80, Michael Lee, fits the sketch. Long hair, thin, late 30s then. And we're pulling DMV, tracking that Nova, because this could be him, the voice, the bastard who took her." His report a jolt that electrified the air, a promise sharpened by years of chasing shadows. Vera leaned forward, her hands trembling as she said, "Michael Lee, 15 years, Daniels, and now a name. So you find him, bring him in, because Sean's building a life without her, and I need to look him in the eye, need to know why he did this." Her determination a mother's cry that echoed through the room, her eyes locked on his with a fierce resolve. Daniels nodded, his tone firm as he replied, "We're on it. Carter's got records from the shop, DMV's digging for that car, and we're running the voice against old tapes. If he's alive, we'll get him, Mrs. Scott, because Dorothy's driving this, and we're not letting it slip." His words a vow that carried the weight of his own long fight, a duty reignited by the tip. Detective Paul Carter sat in the cold case unit's office on August 17th, his voice a growl as he briefed his team. "Michael Lee, worked Custom John's 79 to 81, quit after Dorothy vanished. And we've got a 78 Chevy Nova, dark blue, registered to him in 80, last seen 85, so we find him, match that voice, because he's our stalker, our killer, and she's screaming for us to nail him." His command a rallying cry that filled the space, his hands slamming the desk with a hunter's zeal. "The tape spun. She's mine forever, and you'll never change that." Carter's finger jabbing the air as he told Daniels, "That rasp smoker local drawl. And Lee's a fit, 38 and 80 loaner shop tie. So we hit his last address, Santa Ana, 1982, and we dig neighbors' co-workers because he's in these calls, and I'll drag him out before I retire." His hunt a relentless pulse that throbbed through his final years. Pam Head met the team at the station on August 20th, her voice steady as she said, "Michael Lee. I remember him, quiet, creepy, always staring at Dorothy. And he'd hang around after his shift, watching her lock up, and I should have said something, should have stopped it." Her guilt a raw thread that tightened her words, her hands clutching a faded photo of Dorothy smiling. Conrad Bostrom joined her, his quiet voice firm as he added, "Lee, he'd ask about her, too much, and she'd brush him off, but he'd linger, and that Nova dark peeling, I saw it in the lot. Fits the tip, fits him." His memory a piece that locked into Carter's puzzle, his eyes sharp with a decade-delayed clarity. By August 25th, the unit tracked Lee's last known address, 2341 Sycamore Street, Santa Ana, abandoned since 1983. Carter leading a team there, his voice low as he told Daniels, "House is empty, boarded up, but neighbors say he was odd, kept to himself, drove that Nova, and left fast in 83, so we're pulling tax records, tracing him." His excitement a fire that flared through the dust, a lead solidifying. Daniels interviewed a neighbor, an old woman with sharp eyes, her voice shaky as she said, "Mike Lee lived there till 83, skinny, long hair, smoked like a chimney, and he'd mutter about a girl, how she'd regret it. Then he was gone, no forwarding, just vanished." Her words a whisper from the past that tightened Carter's grip, a trail warming after years of cold. Vera and Jacob kept vigil, their days a quiet rhythm, Sean's college tales, evening prayers. Though Vera paused at Dorothy's grave on August 29th, her voice a whisper as she said, 15 years, sweetheart, and they've got a name, Michael Lee. So help them, guide them, because Sean's a man now, and we need this." Her flowers a tribute that bloomed against the stone, her hands steady with a fragile faith. Jacob stood beside her, his cane firm as he added, "We're close, real close. And this Lee, if he's him, he's done hiding, because Sean's your light and we'll finish this for you. His vow a father's echo that carried on the wind, his eyes scanning the horizon with a flicker of triumph. Sean joined them, his voice soft as he said, I read your journals again, Mom, about being strong, and if this Mike's the guy, I'll face him for you because you'd want me to. His tribute, a young man's gift to a mother he knew through their love, his hand brushing the headstone with a strength that mirrored hers. Pam visited that night, her voice steady as she told Vera, Carter's chasing this Lee hard, shop guy, car guy, and it's real, Vera, real hope, because Dorothy's worth it, worth every year. Her loyalty a flame that burned through the decades, her hands clutching a worn photo of her and Dorothy laughing. Conrad followed, his quiet presence a comfort as he said, She'd push us, say don't stop, and Sean's her proof, so if Lee's him, we've got him. His words a bridge to a memory that held them together, his arm a silent support as they sat in the Scott's living room. The unit hit Patered on September 5th, Carter's voice a growl as he told Daniels, DMV's got Lee, moved to Riverside 84, new address, still alive. And that Nova's scrapped, but he's there, 53 now, and we're going because Dorothy's screaming through these tapes. His excitement a blaze that lit the room, a hunter's instinct locked on prey. Daniels nodded, his tone steady as he replied, Riverside 40 miles, and he's local still, fits the calls, the sedan, so we stake him, match the voice, because he's our guy and 15 years ends now. His plan a desperate thrust at a trail blazing hot, a duty that pulsed through the years. Carter's team rolled out on September 10th, arriving at 1127 Pine Street, Riverside, a rundown trailer, Carter's voice low as he told Daniels, He's in there. Neighbors say he's a recluse, smokes, keeps odd hours, and we've got a recorder, so if he talks, we match it, nail him. His anticipation a fire that simmered as they watched, a shadow stirring inside. Vera sat with Sean that night, her hands holding his as she said, They're close, sweetie, so close, and your mom's with them because you're her heart, and this Mike, he's running out of shadows, her love a shield that wrapped around him, her voice a whisper that carried Dorothy's spirit into the fight. Jacob watched from the doorway, his eyes on the silent phone, his voice low as he muttered, 15 years, and we've got him cornered, so hang on, because Sean's your pride, and we'll finish this for you. His vow a father's promise that burned through the whispers, a light that pierced the past's dark veil. The whispers of Dorothy's past roared in the mid-1990s, Vera and Jacob's home a sanctuary of her legacy, her courage in Sean's resolve, her love in their fight. While the stalker's shadow loomed, his vengeful love a fading echo, her story a flame that burned toward revelation, a cold case on the brink of breaking wide open. The late summer of 1995 simmered over Anaheim, California, with a restless energy that seeped into the Scott family home, where Vera and Jacob Scott lived with the unbroken thread of their daughter Dorothy Jane Scott's memory. Her abduction on May 29, 1980, now 15 years distant. Her remains buried in 1984, and a cold case unit poised on September 10th at a Riverside trailer, ready to unmask Michael Lee as the stalker whose vengeful love had haunted them through a decade of silence. Vera stood in the kitchen on September 11th, her hands chopping vegetables for Sean's dinner, her voice soft as she told Jacob, 15 years, and there at his door this Michael Lee. And I'm torn, Jake, torn between wanting it to be him and fearing it's another dead end, because I need to see his face, need to know why he took her. Her knife pausing, a mother's hope trembling against a history of false dawns. Jacob sat at the table, his cane propped beside him as he folded the morning paper, his reply steady as he said, It's him, Vera, I feel it in my bones, and Carter's too close to miss now. So we'll know because Dot's been waiting and Sean's waiting, and 15 years of shadows ends with a face. His resolve a father's fire that burned through age and doubt, his eyes glinting with a cautious certainty. Sean, now 19, burst in from the garage, his hands greasy from tinkering with his bike, his voice eager as he said, Grandma, Grandpa. Daniels called, They're watching this Lee guy's trailer, and I've been thinking about Mom, how she'd want me there, want me to see this through. His excitement a spark that lit the room, his hazel eyes, Dorothy's gift, bright with a son's hunger for resolution. Vera set the knife down, her smile warm as she wiped her hands, her voice gentle as she said, She'd be proud, Sean, proud you're part of this, standing tall. And if it's him, she's with them, guiding them, because you're her strength, and she'd want you to face it, whatever comes. Her love a bridge across the years, her arms pulling him into a hug that carried her faith. Jacob nodded, his eyes softening as he added, You're her blood, kid. And this is your fight too, so you go if they let you, because 15 years is long enough to wonder, and she'd want you to look him in the eye. His words a grandfather's vow that tethered Sean to a mother he honored, his hand gripping the cane with a quiet pride. Sergeant Mark Daniels arrived that evening, his face taut with focus as he updated the Scotts. Carter's got eyes on Lee, 1127 Pine Street, Riverside. Recluse, matches the sketch, 53 now. And we're recording, waiting for him to speak, because if that voice matches, we've got him, the bastard who took her. His report a jolt that electrified the air, a promise sharpened by a decade of pursuit. Vera leaned forward, her hands trembling as she said, 15 years, Daniels, and now you're this close, so you make sure make it him, because Sean's a man without her, and I need to know why, need to see him pay. Her determination a mother's cry that echoed through the kitchen, her eyes locked on his with a fierce intensity. Daniels nodded, his tone firm as he replied, We're sure Lee's a fit, custom John's Nova loner, and we're not rushing Mrs. Scott, we're nailing it, because Dorothy's in those tapes, and we'll match him, bring him down for her, for you. His words a vow that carried the weight of his own long fight, a duty burning bright in the September dusk. Detective Paul Carter crouched in an unmarked van outside Lee's trailer on September 12th, his voice a growl as he briefed his team. Michael Lee worked the shop 79 to 81, drove that 78 Nova, vanished 83. And he's in there, smoking, pacing, so we wait, record, because that voice is our key, and Dorothy's screaming for us to end this. His command a rallying cry that hummed through the night, his hands clutching a recorder with a hunter's grip. The trailer's window flickered with a TV glow, Lee's shadow moving inside, thin, hunched, long hair graying, Carter's finger tapping the dash as he told Daniels, he's 53, fits the age, the build. And if he talks, we've got him, because that rasp, that taunt, it's in my blood now, and I'll know it when I hear it. His hunt a relentless pulse that throbbed through his final chase. Pam had met Carter at the station on September 15th, her voice steady as she said, Lee, I knew him, quiet, creepy, and he'd watch Dorothy, follow her with his eyes, and that Nova, I'd see it parked, waiting, so if it's him, get him, because she didn't deserve this. Her guilt a raw thread that tightened her words, her hands clutching a faded photo of Dorothy laughing. Conrad Bostrom joined her, his quiet voice firm as he added, he'd linger, ask about her, too much, and she'd tense up, lock the doors, and that car, dark peeling, it's his, so match that voice, because she's been waiting. His memory a piece that locked into Carter's net, his eyes sharp with a decade-delayed reckoning. By September 20th, the team had audio, Lee muttering on a porch call to a neighbor, damn kids, always messing with me. Carter playing it against the 1980 tapes, his voice low as he told Daniels, close, raspy, smoker's edge, but degraded, not conclusive, so we need more, need him live, because Dorothy's in there and we're this damn close. His frustration a fuel that drove the stakeout, a lead teetering on the edge. Daniels nodded, his tone steady as he replied, we've got his routine, smokes outside, talks to himself, so we wire it, get him clear, because he's our guy, Carter, and 15 years ends with his voice, not ours. His plan a desperate thrust at a trail blazing hot, a duty that pulsed through the years. Vera and Jacob kept vigil, their days a quiet rhythm. Sean's college chatter, evening news. Though Vera paused at Dorothy's grave on September 25th, her voice a whisper as she said, 15 years, sweetheart, and they're watching him, this Lee, so guide them, because Sean's ready and I need this, need you free. Her flowers a tribute that bloomed against the stone, her hands steady with a fragile faith. Jacob stood beside her, his cane firm as he added, we're there, Dot, right there. And if he's him, he's done running, because Sean's your pride, and we'll finish this for you. His vow a father's echo that carried on the wind, his eyes scanning the horizon with a flicker of triumph. Sean joined them, his voice soft as he said, I wrote you into my psych paper, Mom, about obsession, how it twists, and if this guy's the one, I'll be there, because you'd want me to see it. His tribute a young man's gift to a mother he knew through their love, his hand brushing the headstone with a strength that echoed hers. Pam visited that night, her voice steady as she told Vera, Carter's got him pinned. Lee the creep, and it's real, Vera, real close, because Dorothy's worth it, worth every year we've fought. Her loyalty a flame that burned through the decades, her hands clutching a worn photo of her and Dorothy smiling. Conrad followed, his quiet presence a comfort as he said, she'd say go for it, and Sean's her win, so if Lee's him, we've got him cornered. His words a bridge to a memory that held them together, his arm a silent support as they sat in the Scotts' living room. On September 30th, Carter's team moved closer, wiring the trailer's porch. Lee stepping out at dusk, muttering, "She was mine, should have stayed mine." Carter's voice a growl as he told Daniels, "That's it. Mine." The rasp, the tone, and it's him, Dorothy's killer, so we match it, build it, because 15 years ends now. His excitement a blaze that lit the van, a hunter's instinct locked on prey. Daniels nodded, his tone steady as he replied, "Tape's gold, she was mine. And we've got shop ties, the Nova, so we analyze, confirm, then grab him because he's our stalker." And Dorothy's screaming through this. His plan a careful thrust at a trail blazing bright, a duty that pulsed through the years. Carter played the clip against the 1980 call. "She's mine, and no one else can have her." His voice low as he told the team, 90%, degradation's a bitch, but it's him, Michael Lee, and we're building the case, warrants, because she's here, and we've got her justice in our hands. His anticipation of fire that simmered as they prepped, a shadow taking form. Vera sat with Sean that night, her hands holding his as she said, "They've heard him, sweetie, heard his voice, and your mom's with them, because you're her heart, and this Lee, he's out of time." Her love a shield that wrapped around him, her voice a whisper that carried Dorothy's spirit into the fight. Jacob watched from the doorway, his eyes on the silent phone, his voice low as he muttered, 15 years, dat, and we've got his voice, his face, so hang on, because Sean's your pride, and we'll end this for you. His vow a father's promise that burned through the shadows, a light that pierced the past's dark veil. The face of the shadow emerged in the fall of 1995, Vera and Jacob's home a sanctuary of Dorothy's legacy. Her courage in Sean's resolve, her love in their fight. While the stalker's form solidified, his vengeful love a fading echo. Her story a flame that burned toward justice. A cold case on the cusp of cracking wide open. The fall of 1995 deepened over Anaheim, California, with a crisp edge that sharpened the air around the Scott family home, where Vera and Jacob Scott lived with the unyielding presence of their daughter Dorothy Jane Scott's memory. Her abduction on May 29, 1980, now 15 years past. Her remains buried in 1984, and a cold case unit poised in October with Michael Lee's voice on tape. "She was mine, should have stayed mine." A chilling echo of the stalker whose vengeful love had tormented them now. On the brink of exposure, Vera sat at the dining table on October 1st, her hands clutching a cup of tea gone cold, her voice soft as she told Jacob, 15 years, and they've got his voice, this Lee, saying she was his. And I'm shaking, Jake, shaking because it's him, but I need to see him, need to know it's over. Her eyes glistening, a mother's hope battling a decade of dread as the end loomed near. Jacob leaned back in his chair, his cane resting against the table as he replied, "It's him, Vera, no doubt now, and Carter's got him pinned, so we'll see his face because Dot's been waiting and Sean's been waiting, and 15 years of hell ends with this." His resolve a father's fire that burned through the years, his hands steady with a quiet triumph. Sean, now 19, paced the room, his college books forgotten on the couch, his voice taut as he said, "Grandma, Grandpa, they've got his voice, and Daniel said I can go see him when they bring him in, and I need to for Mom because she'd want me to face him, right?" His urgency a spark that crackled in the air, his hazel eyes, Dorothy's legacy, burning with a son's need for justice. Vera set the cup down, her smile warm as she stood to hug him, her voice gentle as she said, "She'd want you there, Sean, strong, brave like she was, and if it's him, you look him in the eye because you're her heart, and he can't take that, not ever." Her love a bridge across the decades, her arms holding him tight with a strength forged in loss. Jacob nodded, his eyes softening as he added, "You're her son, kid, and this is your right, so you go, stand for her, because 15 years is long enough to wonder, and she'd be proud, damn proud." His words a grandfather's vow that tethered Sean to a mother he honored, his hand gripping the cane with a fierce pride. Sergeant Mark Daniels arrived that evening, his face etched with determination as he updated the Scotts. "Carter's got the tape. She was mine, clear as day, and voice analysis says 92% match to 80. So we're moving warrants tomorrow, because Michael Lee's our guy, Dorothy's stalker, her killer." His report a thunderclap that shook the room, a promise fulfilled after years of shadows. Vera leaned forward, her hands trembling as she said, 15 years, Daniels, and now you've got him. So you bring him in, let me see him, because Sean's grown up without her, and I need to ask why I need to end this." Her determination a mother's cry that echoed through the house, her eyes locked on his with a fierce resolve. Daniels nodded, his tone firm as he replied, We're bringing him Riverside tomorrow and Sean can come, Mrs. Scott, because Dorothy's in this and we've got him cold. Shop car voice, so it ends now for her, for you. His words a vow that carried the weight of his own long fight, a duty blazing bright in the October night. Detective Paul Carter stood outside Lee's trailer at dawn on October 2nd, his voice a growl as he briefed his team. Michael Lee, 53, Custom Johns 80, 78 Nova, voice match. And we've got warrants, abduction, murder, arson. So we take him hard because Dorothy's been screaming for 15 years, and this is her day. His command a rallying cry that cut through the morning fog, his hands gripping a bullhorn with a hunter's zeal. The team moved at 6:17 a.m., Carter's voice booming. Michael Lee, police, come out with your hands up. The trailer door creaking open, Lee stumbling out, thin, gray hair wild, cigarette dropping as he rasped. What's this? I ain't done nothing. His voice a chilling echo of the tapes, Carter's eyes narrowing as he told Daniels, that's him, live, it's him. And we've got the bastard, his triumph a fire that flared through the arrest. Lee was cuffed, his protests fading. I don't know Dorothy. As Carter's team searched the trailer, finding a box under the bed, newspaper clippings of Dorothy's disappearance, a woman's scarf singed, and a photo of her at the shop, Carter's voice low as he said, evidence, hers, and he kept it, the sick son of a bitch, so we've got him solid. His satisfaction a blaze that lit the scene. Daniels drove Sean to Riverside PD that afternoon, his voice steady as he said, he's in there, kid, Lee, and you'll see him, hear him, because your mom's with you, and this is for her, so you're ready, right? His guidance a lifeline that steadied Sean, his hand on the boy's shoulder as they entered, a duty fulfilled in the moment. Sean stood in the observation room at 2:33 p.m., his breath shallow as he watched Lee through the glass, thin, haggard, rasping denials, Carter's voice firm as he grilled him. Dorothy Scott, you took her, burned her car, called her folks. Say it, Lee, because we've got your voice, your trophies. Lee's eyes darting, his reply a hiss. She should have been mine, she laughed, and I made her mine, his confession a dagger that pierced the air. Vera and Jacob arrived at 3 p.m., Vera's hands trembling as she joined Sean, her voice a sob as she said, that's him, his voice, his words. And he took her, Sean, took your mom, because she wouldn't be his. Her tears falling as she clutched her grandson, a mother's anguish breaking against the truth, her eyes locked on the man who'd haunted them. Jacob stood beside her, his cane firm as he growled, 15 years, and there's the face, the bastard who did it. And you faced him, Sean, for dot, so she's proud, damn proud. His words a father's thunder that rolled through the room, his hand gripping Vera's with a strength that defied his age. Pam Head and Conrad Bostron arrived at 3:30, Pam's voice breaking as she said, Lee, that creep, and he's caught Vera, caught because Dorothy's stronger, always was. Her loyalty a flame that burned through the years, her hands clutching Vera's in a shared victory, her tears a release of decade-old guilt. Conrad nodded, his quiet voice steady as he added, she fought him. And we got him, Sean, so she's free and you're her win. His words a bridge to a memory that held them together, his arm a silent support as they watched Lee crumble under Carter's glare. Carter leaned across the table at 4:12 p.m., his voice a growl as he said, you stalked her, took her, killed her, May 29, 1980, and called, taunted, kept her scarf, so confess, Lee, because we've got you and Dorothy's done waiting. Lee's head dropping, his rasp faint as he muttered, I loved her, wanted her mine, and she wouldn't, so I took her, kept her. His admission a flood that broke the dam, Carter's triumph a blaze that lit the room. Daniels stood with Sean, his voice low as he said, that's it, kid, he's done. And your mom's here, smiling, because you saw it through. His guidance a lifeline that steadied the boy, his hand on Sean's shoulder as Lee was led away, a duty completed after 15 years. Vera collapsed into Jacob's arms, her sobs a storm as she cried, it's him, her killer, and we've got him, Jake, got him for her, for Sean. Her relief a tide that washed through the room, her grip on Jacob a tether to a daughter reclaimed, her voice a whisper, you're free, Dorothy, free now. Sean faced Lee as he passed, his voice steady as he said, you took my mom, but you didn't win because she's stronger and I'm here and you're nothing. His words a sun's stand that echoed through the years, his hazel eyes meeting Lee's hollow gaze, a victory claimed for Dorothy's memory. Carter met them outside at 5 p.m., his voice rough as he said, he's charged abduction, murder, arson. And he's confessed, so it's over 15 years and Dorothy's justice is yours because she fought through us. His satisfaction a weight that settled. A hunter's chase ended with a shadow unmasked. Vera sat with Sean that night, her hands holding his as she said, It's done, sweetie, he's caught. And your mom's at peace because you're her heart and he's gone, forever gone. Her love a shield that wrapped around him, her voice a whisper that carried Dorothy's spirit into the quiet. Jacob watched from the doorway, his eyes on the silent phone, his voice low as he muttered, 15 years, Dot, and we faced him, ended him, so rest, because Sean's your pride and we won for you. His vow a father's promise that burned through the shadows, a light that pierced the past's final veil. The face of the shadow fell in the fall of 1995, Vera and Jacob's home a sanctuary of Dorothy's legacy. Her courage in Sean's stand, her love in their triumph. While the stalker's form crumbled, his vengeful love a broken echo, her story a flame that burned to closure. A cold case sealed with justice after 15 relentless years. The winter of 1996 cast a gentle frost over Anaheim, California, the Scott family home standing as a quiet testament to the passage of time, where Vera and Jacob Scott lived with the bittersweet peace that had settled after Michael Lee's arrest in October 1995, his confession to abducting and murdering their daughter Dorothy Jane Scott on May 29, 1980, a crime that had haunted them for 15 years, finally lifting a shadow that had darkened their lives, though the echoes of her absence and the stalker's vengeful love lingered in the corners of their days. Vera sat by the fireplace on January 10, 1996, her silver hair catching the glow as she knitted a scarf for Sean, her voice soft as she told Jacob, 15 years since she was taken, and now he's locked away, Michael Lee, the face we chased, and I feel her resting, Jake, resting easier, but there's still a hole, still a quiet where her laugh should be. Her needles clicking a steady rhythm, a mother's grief softened by justice yet tender with memory. Jacob rested in his armchair, his cane beside him as he turned the pages of a photo album. Dorothy's childhood, her wedding, Sean's birth. His reply steady as he said, he's caged, Vera. Confessed, done, and Dot's free now, free from his sick grip. So we've got her back in here, and Sean's carrying her forward, making her proud. His resolve a father's anchor that held firm through the years, his eyes tracing her smile in faded prints. Sean, now 20, strode in from the kitchen, his Cal State Fullerton sweatshirt rumpled from a late study session, his voice warm as he said, Grandma, Grandpa, I got an internship counseling kids, and it's because of Mom, because of what I wrote about her strength. It's like she's guiding me even now, his pride a light that filled the room, his hazel eyes, Dorothy's gift, shining with a son's devotion to a legacy reclaimed. Vera set her knitting down, her smile bright as she stood to hug him, her voice gentle as she said, she's guiding you, Sean, every day, and she'd love this, love you helping kids because you're her heart, her good, and he couldn't take that, not even with all his hate. Her love a bridge across the decades, her arms holding him tight with a strength that had endured the storm. Jacob nodded, his eyes softening as he added, you're her win, kid, stronger than him, better, and Lee's rotting now while you're building something, so keep it up because she's watching, smiling down. His words a grandfather's vow that tethered Sean to a mother he honored, his hand reaching out to clap the boy's shoulder with a pride that glowed through age. Sergeant Mark Daniels visited that afternoon, his coat dusted with frost as he sat with the Scotts, his voice steady as he said, Lee's locked up, pleaded guilty, life without parole. And the case is closed, officially, but I wanted you to know it's because of Dorothy, because you never gave up, that we got him. His update a quiet triumph that settled in the air, a duty fulfilled after years of relentless pursuit. Vera leaned forward, her hands clasped as she replied, 15 years, Daniels, and you brought him down, gave us her justice, so thank you because Sean's growing up whole, and I can breathe knowing he's not out there, not laughing anymore. Her gratitude a mother's balm that soothed a wound long open, her eyes meeting his with a quiet peace. Daniels nodded, his tone firm as he said, it was her, Mrs. Scott, her story, her fight, and Sean's part of that, so it's not just closed, it's won because she's bigger than him always was. His words a vow that carried the weight of his own decade-long chase, a partnership with a family that had outlasted the shadow. Detective Paul Carter, now retired, called from his home in Santa Ana that evening, his voice rough over the line as he told Daniels, Lee's done, life in Chino, and I'm out, but Dorothy's my last win, 15 years of hunting, and her family's got her back, so I can rest knowing we nailed him. His satisfaction a growl that echoed through his final years. A hunter's tale ended with a victory hard-earned. Vera and Jacob kept their routine, their days a gentle rhythm. Sean's college stories, garden tending, evening prayers, though Vera paused at Dorothy's grave on January 29th, her voice a whisper as she said, 16 years since you were here, sweetheart. And he's gone locked away, so rest easy because Sean's your light and we've got you home. Her flowers a tribute that bloomed against the frost, her hands steady with a newfound calm. Jacob stood beside her, his cane firm as he added, "He's finished, dat confessed caged. And you beat him because Sean's thriving and we're still here, so sleep well because we won for you." His vow of father's echo that carried on the wind, his eyes scanning the cemetery with a quiet triumph that settled deep. Sean joined them, his voice soft as he said, "I started the internship today, Mom, helping kids who've lost stuff, and it's your courage pushing me, so thanks because I feel you even now." His tribute, a young man's gift to a mother he knew through their love, his hand brushing the headstone with a strength that mirrored hers, his breath fogging in the winter air. Pam had visited that night, her freckled hands bringing a casserole, her voice steady as she told Vera, "Lee's gone, life in prison, and Dorothy's free, Vera, free because we fought, and Sean's her proof, her win over him." Her loyalty a flame that burned through the years, her smile a release of decade-old grief as she hugged her friend. Conrad Bostrom followed, his quiet presence a comfort as he said, "She'd laugh, say we got him, and Sean's her legacy, so he's nothing now, just a shadow we crushed." His words a bridge to a memory that held them together, his arm a silent support as they sat around the Scots' table, sharing a meal warmed by closure. The trial had been swift, Lee pleading guilty on November 20th, 1995 to abduction, murder, and arson, his raspy voice muttering in court, "I loved her, wanted her mine, and she wouldn't, so I took her." Carter testifying, his growl steady. 15 years, he stalked, killed, taunted, and we've got his voice, his trophies, his confession. The judge's gavel a thunderclap that sealed his fate. Life without parole, a shadow banished to a cell. Sean had stood in the courtroom that day, his hands clenched as he watched Lee, his voice low as he told Daniels afterward, "He's small, smaller than I thought, and Mom's bigger because she's in me, in us, and he's just a man and nothing now." His realization a son's victory that echoed through the years, his hazel eyes meeting Vera's with a quiet strength. Vera had faced Lee too, her voice trembling but firm as she said in her victim statement, "You took my daughter, my Dorothy, and you broke us, but we're still here, and you're not, so she wins because her love outlasts your hate." Her words a mother's stand that rang through the courtroom, her tears falling as Jacob held her, a family unbroken by the storm. Jacob had stared Lee down, his cane tapping as he added, 15 years, you haunted us, hurt her. And now you're caged, and she's free, so rot because Sean's her light and you're dust." His growl a father's fury that settled into peace, his hand gripping Vera's with a strength that defied the years, a battle won at last. The community felt it too. Anaheim papers ran headlines, Stanton stalker caught after 15 years. Neighbors leaving flowers at the Scots' door, a woman telling Vera, "Dorothy's story saved my girl. I watch her now because of you." Her gratitude a ripple that spread through the streets, a legacy of vigilance born from their pain. Sean began counseling in earnest, his days filled with kids who'd lost parents, his voice steady as he told one, "My mom's gone too, but she's still here in what I do, and you've got that too, something they can't take." His work a son's tribute that carried Dorothy's spirit, his hazel eyes warm with a purpose she'd inspired, his hands guiding where hers could not. Vera and Jacob adapted, their home a shrine to her memory, her photos on the walls, her scarf on the chair. Though Vera smiled more, her voice soft as she told Sean on February 15th, "You're healing them, sweetie, and that's her through you because he's gone and we've got her back, stronger than ever." Her love a thread that wove through their days, her hands knitting with a lighter heart. Jacob watched Sean grow, his voice low as he said one night, "You're her, kid, her good, her fight, and Lee's nothing now, just a name we beat, so keep going because she's proud and I am too." His pride a grandfather's gift that settled deep, his cane resting as he sat by the fire, a peace earned through years of war. Daniels checked in monthly, his voice steady as he told them on March 1st, "Lee's quiet, prison's got him. And the unit's moving to other cases, but Dorothy's ours, your win, because you kept her alive." His visit's a lifeline that faded gently, a duty completed as he tipped his hat, a sergeant's farewell to a family he'd served. Carter wrote a letter that spring, his scrawl rough as he said, "Retired now, but Dorothy's my last fight, and we got him, so live well because she's free, and that's enough." His words a hunter's coda that reached them on April 10th, a final note from a man who'd chased her shadow to the end, his rest earned in her victory. Vera sat with Sean that night, her hands holding his as she said, "It's ours, sweetie, her legacy, and you're carrying it because he's gone, and she's here, in every kid you help, every day we live." her love a shield that wrapped around him, her voice a whisper that carried Dorothy's spirit into the future. Jacob watched from the doorway, his eyes on the silent phone, his voice low as he muttered, 15 years, and we beat him, so rest, because Sean's your heart, and we've reclaimed you for good. His vow a father's promise that burned through the past, a light that shone in a home reclaimed by love. A legacy reclaimed bloomed in the winter of 1996, Vera and Jacob's home a sanctuary of Dorothy's triumph. Her courage in Sean's purpose, her love in their peace. While the stalker's shadow faded, his vengeful love a broken echo. Her story a flame that burned eternal, a cold case closed with a family's unbreakable bond. The early 2000s unfurled over Anaheim, California, with a gentle warmth that bathed the Scott family home in a golden hue, where Vera and Jacob Scott lived with the quiet strength of their daughter Dorothy Jane Scott's memory. Her abduction on May 29, 1980, now over 2 decades past. Her remains buried in 1984. And Michael Lee's confession and life sentence in 1995, a hard-won victory that had lifted a shadow, leaving her legacy to flourish in the light beyond the stalker's vengeful love, light carried forward by a family unbroken by time. Vera sat on the porch on May 29, 2000, her hands resting on a cane as she watched the roses Dorothy had planted bloom in vivid red, her voice soft as she told Jacob, 20 years today, since she was taken, and Lee's locked away 5 years now, but these roses keep growing, like she's still here, still pushing through, and I feel her, Jake, in the quiet in Sean, her eyes tracing the petals, a mother's grief softened by decades into a tender pride. Jacob rocked beside her, his white hair thinning as he leaned on his own cane, his reply steady as he said, 20 years, and we beat him, Vera, beat that bastard down, so Dot's free, and Sean's her proof, thriving out there, making her shine because his hate couldn't touch her, not really. His resolve a father's anchor that held firm through age, his gaze fixed on the garden that held her touch. Sean, now 24, pulled into the driveway in a beat-up Honda, his counseling badge pinned to his shirt as he stepped out, his voice warm as he said, Grandma, Grandpa, finished a session today, kid who lost his mom, and I told him about mine, about how she's still with me, and it worked, like she's helping me help them. His pride a light that spilled across the porch, his hazel eyes Dorothy's gift, bright with a son's devotion to a legacy that guided him. Vera smiled, her hands trembling slightly as she stood to hug him, her voice gentle as she said, She's with you, Sean. Every kid you lift up, that's her, because you're her heart, her good, and he couldn't take that, not even with all his darkness. Her love a bridge across the years, her arms wrapping him in a warmth that had weathered the storm, her cane tapping the wood as she steadied herself. Jacob nodded, his eyes softening as he added, You're her win, kid out there doing what she'd love, and Lee's nothing now, just a name in a cell while you're building something real, so keep it up because she's proud and we are too. His words a grandfather's vow that tethered Sean to a mother he carried, his hand reaching out to grip the boy's arm with a strength that defied his frailty. Mark Daniels, now retired, visited that afternoon, his civilian coat loose as he sat with the Scotts, his voice steady as he said, 20 years since she went missing. And Lee's still in Chino, no appeals, no noise, so it's done, but I check in because Dorothy's story stuck with me and Sean's keeping it alive, doing good out there. His update a quiet echo of a duty fulfilled, a bond that lingered beyond the badge. Vera leaned forward, her hands clasped around her cane as she replied, 20 years, Daniels. And you gave us her justice, gave Sean a chance to grow without that shadow. So thank you, because he's her light, and I can rest knowing he's not free. Her gratitude a mother's balm that soothed a wound long healed, her eyes meeting his with a peaceful clarity. Daniels nodded, his tone firm as he said, It was her, Mrs. Scott, her fight your fight, and Sean's the proof, out there helping kids, so it's not just done, it's won because she's stronger than him, always will be. His words a vow that carried the weight of his own long service, a retirement sweetened by their triumph. Paul Carter, now in his late 60s, sent a postcard from Arizona that week, his scrawl rough as he wrote, 20 years, Lee's caged and I'm fishing, but Dorothy's my last case, my best, so live well because she's free, and that's what matters. His message a hunter's farewell that reached them on June 1st, a final note from a man who'd chased her shadow to rest, his peace earned in her victory. Vera and Jacob lived their days in a gentle rhythm, Sean's visits, porch rocking, evening prayers. Though Vera paused at Dorothy's grave on June 15th, her voice a whisper as she said, 20 years, sweetheart. And he's gone, locked away, so you're free, and Sean's your pride, helping kids like you'd want, so rest, because we've got you. Her flowers a tribute that bloomed against the stone, her cane steadying her as she stood. Jacob stood beside her, his cane firm as he added, "We won, doubt 20 years, and Lee's nothing now, while Sean's everything you dreamed, so sleep well because your light's burning bright." His vow a father's echo that carried on the breeze, his eyes scanning the cemetery with a quiet satisfaction that settled deep in his bones. Sean joined them, his voice soft as he said, "I got a promotion today, Mom, lead counselor. And it's you, your strength, pushing me, so thanks, because I'm making a difference like you did." His tribute, a young man's gift to a mother he knew through their love, his hand brushing the headstone with a strength that echoed hers, his breath steady in the summer air. Pam had visited that evening, her freckled hands bringing a photo album, her voice steady as she told Vera, 20 years, and Dorothy's free, Vera, because we fought and Sean's her legacy, out there healing, so he's nothing now, just a bad memory. Her loyalty a flame that burned through the decades, her smile a release of long-held pain as she hugged her friend. Conrad Bostron followed, his quiet presence a comfort as he said, "She'd cheer, say we did it, and Sean's her win, so Lee's dust, and we're still here." His words a bridge to a memory that held them together, his arm a silent support as they flipped through photos, Dorothy's laugh echoing in their minds. Sean's work grew, his days filled with kids who'd lost too much, orphans, runaways, the broken. His voice steady as he told one, a girl named Lily, "My mom's gone, but she's in what I do, and your dad's in you, so we keep them alive, right?" His guidance a son's tribute that carried Dorothy's spirit, his hazel eyes warm with a purpose she'd sparked, his hands steady as he handed her a tissue. Vera watched him one night, her voice soft as she told Jacob, "He's her Jake, out there, fixing what's hurt, and Lee's locked away, so she's winning every day through him." Her pride a mother's glow that lit the room, her cane tapping as she moved to the window, her eyes following Sean's car as he drove off to another session. Jacob nodded, his voice low as he replied, 20 years, and he's her light, stronger than that bastard's hate. So we did it, Vera, kept her alive, and she's proud, I know it. His satisfaction a grandfather's gift that settled deep, his hands resting on the album as he sat by the fire, a peace earned through decades of fight. The community remembered, too. Anaheim schools taught Dorothy's story in safety classes, a teacher telling Sean, "Your mom's why we watch our kids closer, she's a lesson, a hero." Her words a ripple that spread through the years, a legacy of caution born from their loss, flowers still appearing at her grave from strangers moved by her tale. Sean met a girl that fall, Emily, a social worker with kind eyes, his voice shy as he told Vera on September 10th. "She gets it, Grandma. Gets Mom, gets me. And I think she'd like her, think it's okay to let someone in." His hope a young man stepped forward, his hazel eyes searching hers for approval, his hand holding Emily's photo with a tentative smile. Vera smiled, her hand steady as she said, "She'd love her, Sean. Love you opening up because you're her heart, and he's gone, so live, sweetie, live big like she'd want." Her blessing a mother's gift that freed him, her voice a whisper that carried Dorothy's joy, her cane resting as she hugged him tight. Jacob chuckled, his eyes twinkling as he added, "Dot'd say grab it, kid, love, life, all of it. And Emily's lucky because you're her boy and Lee's nothing to that." His tease a grandfather's nudge that lightened the room, his hand patting Sean's back with a pride that glowed through his weariness. Daniel stopped by in October, his voice steady as he said, "Lee's fading, prison's hard, and Dorothy's story's out there, Sean's work, so it's yours now, your win." His visit a final thread that faded gently, a retired sergeant's nod to a family he'd served, his coat flapping as he waved goodbye. Vera and Jacob grew older, their home a shrine to her memory. Her roses in the yard, her photos on the walls, though Vera laughed more, her voice soft as she told Sean on November 15th, "You're her, sweetie, her good, her fight, and he's gone, so we've got her forever now." Her love a thread that wove through their days, her hands resting as she watched him grow. Sean proposed to Emily that winter, his voice steady as he told them on December 20th. She said yes. "And it's for Mom, too, because she'd want me happy, want this light." His joy a son's gift that carried Dorothy's spirit, his hazel eyes bright as he showed the ring, his hands steady with a future she'd inspired. Vera sat with him that night, her hands holding his as she said, "It's hers, sweetie, her legacy. And you're living it because he's gone, and she's here in every step you take." Her love a shield that wrapped around him, her voice a whisper that carried Dorothy's pride into the years. Jacob watched from the doorway, his eyes on the roses outside, his voice low as he muttered, 20 years, and Sean's your heart, So rest, because we've got this, and it's bright, real bright. His vow of father's promise that burned through the past, a light that shone beyond the shadow's end. The light beyond bloomed in the early 2000s, Vera and Jacob's home a sanctuary of Dorothy's triumph. Her courage in Sean's purpose, her love in their peace. While the stalker's shadow vanished, his vengeful love a forgotten echo. Her story a flame that burned eternal, a family's bond lighting the way forward. The mid-2000s swept over Anaheim, California, with a steady pulse of life, the Scott family home standing as a weathered beacon where Vera and Jacob Scott lived with the enduring warmth of their daughter Dorothy Jane Scott's memory. Her abduction on May 29, 1980, now a quarter-century past, her remains buried in 1984, and Michael Lee's life sentence in 1995 a fading echo. His vengeful love buried beneath the roots of resilience that had grown from her legacy, a strength that flourished in the family she'd left behind. Vera sat in the living room on May 29, 2005, her hands resting on a walker as she watched the sunlight stream through the window, her voice soft as she told Jacob, 25 years today, since she was taken, and Lee's locked away, a decade now, but I see her in the light, in Sean, in everything we've built, and it's strong, Jake, stronger than his hate ever was. Her eyes tracing the roses outside. A mother's grief transformed into a quiet pride that glowed through her frailty. Jacob rocked beside her, his white hair sparse as he leaned on his cane, his reply steady as he said, 25 years, and we outlasted him. Vera turned his darkness into this, because Dot's free, and Sean's her root, growing deep, so he's nothing now, just a ghost we crushed. His resolve a father's anchor that held firm through time, his gaze fixed on a photo of Dorothy holding Sean, her smile eternal on the mantel. Sean, now 29, stepped through the door, his arm around Emily, his wife of 2 years, their toddler daughter Lily toddling behind, his voice warm as he said, Grandma, Grandpa, Lily's got something to show you, and it's all Mom, all her spirit keeping us going. His pride a light that filled the room, his hazel eyes, Dorothy's gift, bright with a son's devotion as he knelt to help Lily waddle forward. Vera smiled, her hands trembling as she reached for Lily, her voice gentle as she said, She's with you, Sean, in this little one in you, and she'd love her, love this family, because you're her heart, and he couldn't touch that, not even with all his evil. Her love a bridge across the decades, her arms scooping Lily up with a strength that defied her age, her walker resting as she held her great-granddaughter. Jacob chuckled, his eyes twinkling as he added, You're her seed, kid, and Lily's the bloom, so Lee's dust, while you're planting roots, making her proud every day. His words a grandfather's vow that tethered Sean to a mother he carried, his hand steadying his cane as he leaned to tickle Lily, her giggles a sound that echoed Dorothy's joy. Mark Daniels, long retired, visited that afternoon, his civilian shirt untucked as he sat with the Scotts, his voice steady as he said, 25 years since she went missing, and Lee's still in Chino, fading fast, but Dorothy's here in Sean and Lily, and that's the win, the real win after all this time. His update a quiet thread that tied the past to the present, a bond that lingered beyond his service. Vera leaned forward, her hands clasped around her walker as she replied, 25 years, Daniels, and you helped us bury him, gave Sean this life, so thank you because Lily's her light and I can rest knowing he's nothing now. Her gratitude a mother's balm that soothed a wound long closed, her eyes meeting his with a peaceful glow. Daniels nodded, his tone firm as he said, It was her, Mrs. Scott, her strength your strength, and Sean's growing it, passing it to Lily, so it's not just one, it's alive, because she's bigger than him, always will be. His words a vow that carried the weight of his own long chase, a retirement sweetened by their resilience. Sean's counseling had blossomed, his days spent running a small center for grieving kids, his voice steady as he told a boy named Tim, My mom's gone too, but she's in what I do, and your sister's in you, so we hold them, keep them strong. His guidance a son's tribute that carried Dorothy's spirit, his hazel eyes warm with a purpose she'd ignited, his hands steady as he handed out crayons for the kids to draw their losses. Emily worked beside him, her voice soft as she told Vera on June 10th, He's amazing with them. Sees his mom in every kid. And Lily's learning it too, saying gamma for Dorothy like she knows her. Her pride a partner's glow that lit the room, her hands cradling Lily as she napped, a family rooted in a legacy of love. Vera smiled, her voice gentle as she said, She knows her, Emily, through Sean, through you, and Lee's gone, so this is Dot, growing in Lily and all of us, stronger every day. Her love a thread that wove through their lives, her walker tapping as she moved to touch Lily's cheek, her eyes glistening with a grandmother's joy. Jacob nodded, his voice low as he added, 25 years, and she's winning through you all, so keep it going because he's nothing, and this is everything. His satisfaction a grandfather's gift that settled deep, his cane resting as he watched Lily stir, a peace earned through decades of fight. Lily's first word had been Mama, but Gamma came soon after, Sean teaching her with Dorothy's photo, his voice soft as he said, That's Grandma Dorothy, she's watching you, making you brave. His lessons a son's gift that carried her spirit, his hazel eyes bright as Lily giggled, her tiny hands reaching for the frame on the wall. Vera and Jacob grew friendlier, their home a shrine to her memory. Her roses in the yard, her laughter in Lily's voice, though Vera laughed more, her voice soft as she told Sean on July 15th. You're her, sweetie, her good, her fight, and Lily's her bloom, so he's gone, and we've got her forever now. Her love a thread that held them tight, her hands resting as she watched him play with Lily. Jacob watched too, his voice low as he said, 25 years, and you're her root, kid, deep and strong, so Lee's dust, and she's proud, I know it. His pride a grandfather's glow that warmed the room, his cane tapping as he moved to sit closer, his eyes on Lily with a tenderness that spanned generations. The community held Dorothy close. Anaheim's safety program citing her story, a counselor telling Sean, Your mom's why we teach vigilance, she's a root here, keeping kids safe. Her words a ripple that spread through the years, a legacy of protection born from their pain, flowers still appearing at her grave from families she'd touched. Sean and Emily bought a house that fall, a small ranch near the center, his voice steady as he told Vera on September 20th. It's ours, and Lily's got a room for her Gamma's stuff because Mom's with us in this, keeping us grounded. His hope a young man stepped forward, his hazel eyes bright as he showed photos, his hands steady with the future she'd shaped. Vera smiled, her hands steady as she said, She'd love it, Sean, love you building this, because you're her heart, and he's gone, so grow, sweetie, grow big like she'd want. Her blessing a mother's gift that freed him, her voice a whisper that carried Dorothy's joy, her walker resting as she hugged him tight. Jacob chuckled, his eyes twinkling as he added, Dot'd say dig in, kid, roots and all, and Lily's her flower, so Lee's nothing to this. His tease a grandfather's nudge that lightened the room, his hand patting Sean's back with a pride that glowed through his weariness. Daniels visited in October, his voice steady as he said, Lee's sick, prison's breaking him, and Dorothy's story's alive, Sean's center, so it's yours now, your strength. His visit a final thread that faded gently, a retired sergeant's nod to a family he'd served, his coat flapping as he waved from the porch. Vera's health faltered that winter, her days spent in a recliner, her voice soft as she told Sean on November 10th. I'm slowing, sweetie, but you're her and Lily's her, so I can go knowing he's gone and she's here. Her love a shield that wrapped around him, her hands weak as she held his, her eyes fading with a peaceful glow. Jacob sat beside her, his voice low as he said, 25 years, and we've got her kid in you and Lily, so she's proud and I'll hold on for this. His promise a grandfather's vow that steadied them, his cane tapping as he moved closer, his eyes on Vera with a love that spanned decades. Vera passed on December 5, 2005, her breath slipping away as Sean held her hand, her voice a whisper in her last moment. Sean, love you. Her death a quiet release after a life of fight, her body laid beside Dorothy's on December 10th, Sean's tears falling as he said, You're with her, Grandma, and I've got you both. His farewell a son's tribute that carried their spirits. Jacob lingered, his days quieter without her, his voice low as he told Sean on Christmas Eve, She's with Dot, and you're their root, kid, so keep it strong because I'm coming soon. His strength a grandfather's gift that faded gently, his eyes on Lily with a smile that held their light. Sean named his center Dorothy's roots that spring, his voice steady as he told Emily, It's her resilience, and Lily's growing in it, so we're good, real good. His purpose a son's legacy that carried her forward, his hazel eyes bright as he hung the sign, his hands steady with a future she'd blessed. Jacob joined Vera on April 15, 2006, his heart giving out as he sat by her roses, his voice a mutter in his last breath. Vera Sean home. His death a quiet end to a warrior's life, buried beside them on April 20th. Sean's voice soft as he said, You're together, and I've got this for you all. His farewell a grandson's promise that echoed through the years. Roots of resilience grew in the mid-2000s, the Scott home a sanctuary of Dorothy's triumph. Her courage in Sean's work, her love in Lily's laugh, while the stalker's shadow vanished, his vengeful love a forgotten echo. her story a tree that stood tall, a family's strength rooting deep into the light beyond. The late 2000s faded into the early 2010s over Anaheim, California, with a gentle inevitability that softened the edges of the Scott family home. Now Sean's domain after Vera's passing in 2005 and Jacob's in 2006, where he lived with Emily and their children, carrying forward the unshakable legacy of his mother, Dorothy Jane Scott. Her abduction on May 29, 1980, now over 3 decades distant, her remains buried in 1984, and Michael Lee's life sentence in 1995 a resolved chapter, his vengeful love a withered echo beneath the final bloom of a family rooted in resilience and love. Sean stood in the backyard on May 29, 2010, his hands pruning Dorothy's rose bush. 30 years to the day since she was taken, his voice soft as he told Emily, 30 years, and she's still here in these roses and Lily and everything we've grown, and Lee's just a name now, a shadow we buried, because her light's what lasts, his hazel eyes, Dorothy's gift, tracing the blooms, a son's pride steady as he shaped the legacy she'd left him. Emily rocked on the porch, her belly round with their second child due any day, her voice warm as she replied, she's in you, Sean, in Lily, in this little one. And I feel her too, like she's watching, smiling, because you've made her so much bigger than him. Her love a partner's thread that wove through their life, her hands resting on her stomach as Lily, now 5, played nearby, her giggles a sound that echoed Dorothy's joy. Lily ran over, her dark curls bouncing as she held a rose she'd picked, her voice bright as she said, Daddy, this is for Gamma Dorothy, can we give it to her today? Her innocence a spark that lit the yard, her hazel eyes, Sean's, Dorothy's, shining with a granddaughter's love for a woman she knew through stories, her small hands clutching the flower with care. Sean knelt, his smile gentle as he took the rose, his voice steady as he said, we'll take it to her, Lily, put it on her stone, because she'd love it, love you, and she's proud we're keeping her close. His promise a father's gift that tethered his daughter to her grandmother, his hands guiding hers as he stood, his heart full with a legacy that spanned generations. The Dorothy's Roots Counseling Center thrived down the street, Sean's days spent guiding kids through loss. 10 years since he'd named it for her. His voice calm as he told a teen named Alex, my mom's gone, but she's in this place, in what we do, and your brother's with you, so we hold them, make them strong. His guidance a son's tribute that carried Dorothy's spirit, his hazel eyes warm with a purpose she'd sparked, his hands steady as he handed out journals for the kids to write their grief. Emily worked beside him, her voice soft as she told a group on June 1st, Sean's mom, she's why we're here, and she'd say you're enough, just as you are, so keep going because she's with you. Her strength a partner's echo that amplified Dorothy's reach, her hands steady as she rubbed her belly, her eyes on Sean with a pride that glowed through the room. Mark Daniels, now in his 70s, visited that afternoon, his steps slow as he sat with Sean on the porch, his voice steady as he said, 30 years since she went missing, and Lee's dying, Sean, cancer in Chino, won't last the year, so it's truly done, and Dorothy's yours and Lily in this. His update a final thread that tied the past to the present, a retired sergeant's nod to a victory complete. Sean leaned forward, his hands clasped as he replied, 30 years, and he's gone, Daniel's really gone. So thanks, because you fought for her, gave me this life, and Lily's her bloom, carrying it on. His gratitude a son's balm that honored their chase, his eyes meeting Daniel's with a quiet peace that settled deep. Daniels nodded, his tone firm as he said, it was her, Sean, her fight, your family's fight. And this center, your kids, that's the win, because she's stronger than him, and he's nothing now. His words a vow that carried the weight of his own long service. A farewell sweetened by their triumph as he patted Sean's shoulder, his coat flapping as he left. Paul Carter's death had come in 2008, a heart attack at 72, his wife sending Sean a note then. Paul's last words were Dorothy's name, proud he got her justice. And now, on June 5, 2010, Sean read it again, his voice low as he told Emily, he's with Mom, maybe, finished her fight, and Lee's dying, so it's over, all of it. His reflection a son's closure that echoed through the years, his hands folding the note with a steady calm. Emily gave birth on June 10th, a boy named Jacob Daniel, Jake, his cries filling the hospital room as Sean held him, his voice soft as he said, you're for Grandpa, little man, and Gamma Dorothy. She's here watching you, keeping us strong. His joy a father's gift that carried their spirits, his hazel eyes bright as he kissed Jake's head, his hands steady with a future they'd blessed. Lily met her brother that day, her voice odd as she said, he's little, Daddy, like Gamma's helper, and I'll tell him about her, okay? Her promise a granddaughter's light that glowed through the room. her hands brushing Jake's tiny fingers with a care that mirrored Dorothy's, her curls falling as she leaned close. Sean took them to the cemetery on June 15th, Lily placing the rose on Dorothy's grave, his voice steady as he said, 30 years, Mom, and Lee's dying, so you're free, and we've got Jake now, your next bloom, so rest, because we're good, real good. His tribute a son's farewell that carried her forward, his hands holding Emily's and Lily's as Jake slept in the carrier, a family rooted deep. Vera's stone beside Dorothy's bore her words, with Dot forever, and Jacob's, her fighter. Sean's voice soft as he added, you're all together, and I've got this for you, so thanks because you made us. His farewell a grandson's promise that echoed through the decades, his hazel eyes tracing the names with a love that held them close. The center grew, Anaheim embracing it, schools sending kids, a teacher telling Sean, Dorothy's roots saved my son. He talks about her like a hero. So she's alive here, keeping us safe. Her words a ripple that spread through the community, a legacy of healing born from their pain, flowers piling at the graves from families she'd touched. Sean and Emily raised their kids in the old house, Dorothy's roses thriving, Lily learning to prune, Jake toddling behind, his voice steady as he told them on July 20th, these are Gamma's, her strength, and you're her blooms, so grow big like she'd want. His lessons a father's gift that carried her spirit, his hazel eyes bright as he watched them play, his hands steady with a purpose she'd shaped. Michael Lee died on August 3, 2010, alone in Chino's infirmary, his raspy voice silenced by cancer at 68, a guard calling Daniels. He's gone, no last words, just faded. Daniels telling Sean that day, it's final now, 30 years, and he's dust, so Dorothy's yours, all yours. His news a quiet capstone that sealed the past, a shadow extinguished at last. Sean stood by the roses that night, his voice low as he told Emily, he's dead, Lee. And it's done, really done, so Mom's free, and we're her bloom, growing past him, past everything. His relief a son's closure that settled deep, his hazel eyes tracing the stars with a peace that glowed through the dark. Lily overheard, her voice soft as she asked, Daddy, is Gamma happy now? No more bad man. Her question a granddaughter's thread that tied the story, her hands holding Jake's as she looked up, her curls glinting in the moonlight with a trust he'd nurtured. Sean smiled, his voice gentle as he said, she's happy, Lily, real happy, because he's gone, and we've got her in you and Jake and everything, so she's laughing, I bet, up there. His answer a father's gift that freed them, his hands lifting her onto his shoulders as Jake giggled, a family whole in her light. Emily joined them, her voice warm as she added, she's proud, too, of you, of us. And this is her, Sean, this life, so let's keep it blooming like she'd want. Her love a partner's vow that steadied their path, her hands wrapping around his waist as they stood, a unit rooted in Dorothy's triumph. The community marked it too. Anaheim papers ran a small obit, Stanton stalker dies, case closed. A neighbor telling Sean, your mom's why we lock our doors, she's our guardian still. Her words a final ripple that spread through the years, a legacy of vigilance and strength born from their fight. Sean hung a sign at the center on September 1st, Dorothy's roots, healing since 1980. His voice steady as he told Emily, it's her, 30 years, and she's still here, still growing. So we're done, but not finished, because she's forever. His purpose a son's legacy that carried her eternal, his hazel eyes bright as he nailed it up, his hands steady with the future she'd blessed. Lily started school that fall, her voice proud as she told her teacher, my Gamma Dorothy's a hero, she helps kids like me, and Daddy says I'm her flower. Her story a granddaughter's gift that carried Dorothy's spirit, her hands clutching a drawing of roses with a smile that glowed through the room. Jake took his first steps that winter, his voice a squeal as he said, Gamma, reaching for her photo, Sean's laugh soft as he told Emily. He knows her, feels her, and that's it, the final bloom, because she's here in them. His joy a father's triumph that sealed their tale, his hazel eyes warm as he scooped Jake up, a family complete in her love. Sean sat by the graves on December 31st, 2010, Lily and Jake beside him, his voice steady as he said, 30 years, Mom. And Lee's gone, Vera's with you, Jacob too, so rest, because we've got this. Lily, Jake, the center, and you're free, forever free. His farewell a son's promise that echoed through the decades, his hands placing roses on each stone, his hazel eyes tracing the sky with a peace that held them all. Emily stood behind, her voice soft as she added, we're your bloom, Dorothy, and it's beautiful, so thank you, because he's nothing and you're everything. Her love a final thread that wove their story, her hands holding Sean's as the kids ran ahead, a family thriving in her light. The final bloom unfurled in the early 2010s, the Scott home a sanctuary of Dorothy's triumph. Her courage in Sean's work, her love in Lily and Jake's laughter. While the stalker's shadow vanished, his vengeful love a silenced echo. Her story a rose that bloomed eternal, a family's resilience closing the tale with a light that outshone the dark forever.